The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey guys, Cotton here, and welcome to another Office Hours Assimilation webinar. We're going to get things kicked off, and we've got special guest Derek Awasiak is back from last week and that incredible reveal that he did. We also have Armando, and he is going to be in hour two talking about something that really kind of blew my mind when he first showed me and what he was doing, and I really think that you're going to be blown away by that as well. But what we're going to start out the first hour is because it is office hours, is questions and answers. Any of your client getting questions, any questions about SEO or anything, we're going to field them with myself, Armando, and Derek, whichever one of us is best suited for it. So what we'll do is we'll just let the question box fill up, and whatever questions you have, we'll get to answering it. Good news is I seen in the news this week that Google just released their searches for last year, and it's over 1 trillion searches. So it looks like our job isn't going to go anywhere. And by the way, that's the same number that they reported the last 3 years. They're not reporting accurate numbers, so it could be a whole lot higher than that. So it looks like that Google isn't going to go away anytime soon, and we're in the right place to be. So let's see if we can field some questions over here. We got Lonnie, and it says here, could you briefly go over the benefits of using the custom map technique shown last week? Derek, we're going to hand that over to you. I figured that we're going to have a lot of questions about that custom map. Why should anyone use it? What's the benefit of it? Why would anyone even want to have, for God's sakes, a link coming back from google.com to their own website? That can't be good, can it?
Yeah, right. So obviously the biggest benefit I use it for is getting a do follow link from Google. And so I don't always necessarily use it just for local, but I use it for national stuff too, because you can see it'll rank for pretty much any keyword you really want, and then you can just drop a link into the custom description to your website, and so you can start driving traffic that way. And also, it's a very respected property, so people see that in the SERPs, and they're always curious to see what Google's saying about it. And it has a really good click-through rate, and it converts really well. But what we were discussing last week was using it mostly for getting map citations. So that's going to help boost your position in your local maps. And it's just sort of like doing almost regular citations, but map citations count just like directory citations. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, you know what, Derek? I think one of the most powerful points that you brought up last week is that trust flow right now seems to be the number one thing that's moving sites. And obviously the parent of all trust flow is Google, isn't it? And
yes, yeah, the closer you get to the main seed sites of where the trust flow originates, the better trust flow you're going to get. So
right. So getting a link directly from Google is a good thing. So another question that we got is what's the first thing to do when you get a client on board? Well, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that they understand exactly how long things are going to take. What I kind of like to do is as much as when everyone joined OMG and much when you join anything, I send my client through a series of orientation videos. You know, how long is their site going to take to rank? It's a general video that I've done. Everything else, I want to get them in the mindset to where they're going to be expecting exactly what I'm going to be giving to them. What you don't want is clients to be under the assumption of surprise or not knowing what to expect. If someone knows what to expect, and if you've already got a series of videos laid out that pre-answers questions that are going to come up, that's the best way to not be caught being on the phone with your client all the time. And obviously, the second thing you're going to want to do is to get them ranked. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious. So next question. For local citations, what's the best option for getting started? Not Fiverr, but what other service have I used? And you know what? We were just talking before we went live, and I'll let Armando kind of answer what he's doing to get his citations built and how that's working for him.
Yeah, so what I'm using for citations is a number of things. It just usually depends on the client. I'm building citations through Fiverr, of course. I use WhiteSpark. I also have an outsourcer that actually builds these out for me. The thing with the outsourcer is that you have to be careful if you're going to go that route, that they're using U.S. proxies, because a lot of them are going to be in the Philippines, and if you do that, then you're going to get a citation from that country, and I prefer to stay here in the U.S. I also use a lot of social sites to get my citations built, and sort of do that on automatic for a lot of my stuff, but those are really the three main sources that I use. I have more control when it comes to the outsourcer because I kind of train them to build things exactly the way I want them to be built, and so it's a little bit less stressful for me, I guess, if you will, so that I know they're not messing up and giving me what I want.
You know what, guys? I'm like sorry that I didn't introduce Armando properly, and even why I have on this webinar. Armando and I have been very, very close friends now for about a year, and we met through Becker at Source Infinitum, and him and I have stayed in contact over the last year. And he's one of the few people that is really one of the hidden gems also, just like Derek's been, that is a client getting monster. He consistently pumps out $45,000, $50,000 a month. He has an arsenal of client getting tactics that him and I have shared back and forth. He does things very differently than I do, and that's why I appreciate him so much is we're very different but very similar in how we get clients, and we've always been able to share information back and forth. And I like to think that you guys are getting a huge treat tonight having him on here. But how many clients you up to right now, Armando?
I've got 15 guys that I'm working with right now, and about 17, probably 17 coming on 18 lead generating sites. And
wow,
that's where I'm at.
Wow. And as you know, it gets a lot of work. So Armando's got a lot of experience and also kind of growth and how you can take an agency and then grow with it. Him and I have had a lot of conversations about that. So another way that like we had talked about to get these citations built, we were just talking earlier, is you do use some VAs to get this done, don't you?
Yeah, everything that I do is based on a workflow. I come from a business development background, so everything that I do is based off a workflow. My idea of initially getting into this was I want to be able to give somebody a command or do an action and have that trigger a workflow, and that really happens with VAs, web developers, and that sort of when you have those people set up in place, you can really bring a client on board. Issue one action or create a board somewhere and have an entire workflow just sort of execute exactly the way you want it. And all you're really doing is kind of overseeing that whole process and those people.
Great. We have a question from Patrick. I'm gonna throw this one over to you, Derek. Is there such a difference in ranking an e-commerce site from just any other different client site? Do you go about it doing it any differently?
Yeah, I do it a little bit differently. The biggest issue with e-commerce sites for me is that they share databases with other sites a lot of time. So they'll be selling a similar product that another e-commerce site has, and so you get a lot of duplicate content issues. And so depending on how bad it is or how many products they have, I sometimes recommend either rewriting the descriptions so it's unique to their own store, or I try to rank the category pages rather than the actual product pages, and then I usually will no index or just not, yeah, so I just not index the actual product pages if they're the duplicate content version, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Sure. The next question we got is, let me pull up here. When working with a Fiverr guy from Maps, can you tell them different keywords to use? Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. That's between you and the Fiverr guy. He's a freelance outsourcer. If you just reach out to him and send him a message and tell him what you want done, he might charge you a little bit more, but I've known that anyone will custom do any work for you if you pay him a little bit extra or if you just ask. So 9 times out of 10.
If it's for the map one, I usually send them a message and tell them I want to have as many diverse keywords for the titles as I can, because then those have more possibility of ranking. So it's, I try to, for the $5 one, you get 30, I think, and so I'll usually try and give them 30 different keywords.
Mm-hmm. And guys, once again, if you want to know what that is, there's a module that's posted in the that we posted last week that Derek and I done together that goes over the exact website for it if you want to know what that is. And the next question is, it's directed right back at you, Derek. Do you build links to your custom map site?
Yeah. Yes,
And
always.
yeah, we like want to try to get it ranked, so yes.
Yeah.
How do you handle multiple cities kind of dense on this? Guys, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm very simple in how I answer my questions, and I don't like making anything complicated. You just build another page. That's it. So,
I can go on a little bit more than that.
Sure.
So if you have a main headquarters, usually, I'll put that address in your footer, and then you'll have either like a city page or an area page, and then that will be like the top of a silo, and then you can list your cities there, and then each one of those would link to their own individual business page, and then that's the page you put into the Google Plus, and then you can have your NAP and your map embed, and anything else you want to put on there, contact information, etc.
Yeah, you know what I like didn't understand the question. I thought he was talking about just handling multiple city sites for SEO when he was talking about maps, so I'm glad you're on top of that.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood.
No, well, we like covered both of them, so it's all good. It says, Cotton, did you have your PBN network fully functioning before you started getting clients last year? Yes, I probably had about 50 to 60 PBNs within the first 2 or 3 weeks. It was one of the first things that I went out and did. So I encourage you to do that as well. That's what you're looking into. Next question, in general, how long does a client stay ranked up after you leave them, let's say after 7 months? Well, guys, that depends on Google algorithms. It depends on a lot of stuff. Let's face it. If you go to the gym and if you hire a trainer and if you sit on the couch and eat Cheetos all the time, obviously you're not going to stay in shape. There needs to be some maintenance done to the site. But remember, that's not for you to worry about unless they're paying you to worry about that. What I do is when I have a client, I give them an end date of what I'm going to be done. I try to hit that end date. If not, I have a grace period. That's normally 60 days. So if I tell them I can probably get them ranked in 6 to 8 months with a 2-month grace period, that gives me 10 months, and I charge them a certain amount of money. If they happen to drop off the map after, the 13th, 14th month, then they need to contact me back and we're going to start up services again. This isn't a evergreen service that I'm like trying to do. I want to give them an end date, what happens, but I can't predict algorithms. I can't predict what they're going to do. If they go into their site, change the sales copy and do everything else and their site just drops off the map, I can't guarantee that, and you shouldn't either. So let's see here. Next question. Do you still use Basecamp plus CertBook for your client management? Yes, I do. I still use CertBook and I still use Basecamp. Basecamp is what I use to drip the videos out. CertBook I like because I can create a custom live view link to the client so they can check the rankings 24/7. So I really don't have to be sending reports to them. So I haven't changed much since I started with that. Next question from Mike Ryan is can you make an example of a video that you would send to a potential client? We might get into that a little bit later on in the year. There's a lot more stuff to go over than like that. It's when you do videos, it has to be a lot of your personality into it. It really isn't a template that like you can use. I'll try to get some modules out in the next month or so. I'm working on a couple huge modules right now that are literally hours long that I'm going to be putting in there. And this would be one of them that I would work on after that. So let's see here. We have a question from Bob. Which would you use to clean up citations, Yext or Hoth Local? Derek, I'll throw that one to you.
I think that Moz Local service is probably the cheapest one. They have citation cleanup, and I think it was $87 or something like that. That's the one I'm going to start using.
Right. Moz also.
We have Yext. Yeah, we also have Yext, but we have the partnership one, so it's a lot cheaper.
Sure. What you can do is, but Bob also, as Derek brought up a valid point, no one's ever brought up Moz local. They like have that. They like use data aggregators also. That makes it pretty powerful for doing that. But if you go in and become a Yex partner for like $350 to where you're able to do monthlies, they have something for $50 a month, which is called Yex suppression. And what that'll do is it normally goes in there and cleans up all of those for you that are inside of the citations that they put out. And sometimes that normally does a trick for you. Chris Smith, are you going to share?
I'll post the link.
Sure. Go ahead and post that out there. Are you going to share how he gets clients? I'm not sure what that question is, Chris. If you want to type it back, we can get to it. Let's see. How do you guys fulfill that number of clients? Guys, I'm going to answer this question. I knew this question was going to come. And here's the whole thing. When you get to the point to where you want to know how to handle 20, 40, 50, and I have 69 clients, then why don't you send me a personal message and I'll tell you. What you don't need to worry about right now is problems that you don't have. Because when you first try to run a mile and you've never ran a mile before and you're 40 pounds overweight, getting a quarter of a mile or half a mile is going to seem pretty staggering. When you've accomplished a mile, the second mile seems pretty easy. Then if you want to train for a half marathon, it'll come and you'll find a way to get it done. But for you to understand how to run 27 miles when you've been on the couch and you've never ran for 5 years is kind of a mute question to kind of an answer. So when you get to a position that you've got so many clients that you don't know how to handle them, message me personally and I'll happily walk you through step by step how I handle 69 clients very easily with very minimal work. But to go over it until you have the problem, there's no point of discussing it. So message me personally if you're having that sort of problem after the webinar, and I will give you a personal Skype one-on-one, and I will show you exactly what I'm doing. But what I don't want you guys doing is, if you're just starting out, is not worrying about problems that don't exist. What you need to do is get 5 or 6 or 7 clients, and if you got problems with that, message me and I'll tell you how to better streamline those in. Okay. Armando, could you do us a favor? We've had someone ask what exactly do you mean by workflow, and how does that kind of work into it? We've had a lot of people just kind of curious about what your workflow is, what that means, the definition of it, and do you have a system put together so they can better understand what that is?
Yeah. So there's no way for me to scale up to the size that I want to scale up and continue to grow my business if I'm focusing on everything in my business. If I'm working inside of my business, then I'm not really running it. And that's something that I learned from a book called The E-Myth. And I based my entire model based on that book. And so initially when I first started, I was doing everything. I was building PBNs, I was building Web 2s, I was building socials, I was out there getting clients, I was reporting and doing all that stuff. And then I thought, this isn't going to really work for me. So I went in and hired some VAs, and I've trained them personally. And hiring VAs, it's sort of a job in its own. But when you find some really good ones, you can train them to do different aspects of your business. I used to use Basecamp, but I switched to something that was a little bit, easier for me on the eyes, and I use Trello. So in Trello, think about Trello as being sticky notes, and you got these sticky notes that you put on the wall, and every time you write something on the sticky note, it goes into an area that is the to-do sticky note items, and then you can move them to another section of the wall which is a completed. Now I use it a little bit different in that every single board that I create inside Trello is a client board. So if I'm dealing with 4 clients or 15 clients or 20 clients, I'm going to have a board for each one of my clients. And I know that based on that board, there's some things that I need to do in my workflow. Say I take on a new client, the first thing I want to do with that is make sure that, let's say, all their social properties are taken care of. I need to start writing content for these clients. I need to start building some PBNs for these people. And so at that point, I have different teams, which include my VAs, assigned to that one specific board. And they know that as soon as I send them that trigger, as soon as I send them that email, each one of them is responsible for taking the items that I've put in this board and writing content. So if I put 20 topics on there, my writer will go and write 20 topics on this 20 pieces of content based on that topic. The other guy will go and they'll start building the Web 2s based on what I want. The other guy will go and start building PBS based on what I want. And everything is sort of in a project timeline. And all I'm doing is really overseeing and making sure that all these people are doing what they need to do for me to complete my project and meet my deadline. And that's what I mean by, having a workflow and having other people do these things for you.
You know what, Armando? It sounds like we're going to be shooting another module.
Trellos are awesome. I use that too.
Right. We can, if there's enough interest in that, we might be able to pull Armando's arm and get him to shoot a module with us in the next couple of days and show him just how he's doing that. Like I said, he's a beast at like client getting, and he does things very differently than I do, and that's what I love about him, because it's always fresh ideas, it's always different perspectives, it's always best taking different things from different people and figuring out what's most comfortable for you and using that. So, if we get enough response back to it, just send me some personal messages, and we might be able to twist his arm and get a module for that. The next question is, I have a large potential client, 10,000 per month, that I would like to go after. This is my second client, but if I can help him, I have several others in the same category and that would be willing to use my services. This is for attorneys, and I would like to know the best way to proceed. I would hate to mess it up right out of the box with such a large potential client. Well, I want to be honest with you. The only reason that I even know all of what I know about client getting or just anything is because I just took action and I made a lot of mistakes. And through that, I was able to not make those mistakes again. So what I advise you to do is if you got one client, you obviously did something right. I wouldn't change much more than what you're doing right now. You're going to fine tune what you do that's going to suit you and make you feel comfortable. I wouldn't do anything different than how you got the first one. If how you got the first client worked, then it's going to work with the second client. Remember one rule that I've always got is don't get attached to the outcome of any sale. Treat that $10,000 client the same as if you would if it was a $500 client. If you don't, they're going to be able to smell it, and they're going to be able to smell the desperation, and you're going to just get your emotions are going to get caught up into it, and they can generally tell. What you don't want to do is go in there and act like someone that's puppy whipped and come in there and say, oh, well, sure, yeah. Well, look, we can do web design. We can do this. We can do PPC. We can do anything. Oh, I've got a deal that's we're just going to blow your business up. When you talk to clients like that, they literally look down on you. Go in with confidence. Remember, you know more about search engine optimization than they do. Be in the position of the person that is the expert. And when you go in there like that, throw the deal down, show them what you can do, show them the lost revenue that they're getting, and this is how much it cost. Walk out and forget about it. Because if they don't want your business after that, it's not worth your emotion, time, or effort to cry about it, worry about it. Your time's better spent going for another client. What I never do is, a lot of people don't understand how many times I get shot down. I get shot down way more than I do succeed. But what I don't do is I don't allow myself to worry about it. I know that I'm that much closer to my next $5,000 to $10,000 client. When one turns me down, thank God he turns me down, so I'm not sitting there wasting over it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What I don't want you guys to do is to sit and pine over a possible $10,000 deal that might not ever happen by chasing someone too much. And I learned that from the very beginning. Some of these deals are ghosts. And when you're chasing ghosts, you can't catch a ghost. So work with things that are tangible, that are right in front of you, that like look promising. And these big whale deals and all that sort of stuff, they'll come around. And remember, these really big giant deals take very long to process and go through. I don't think any deal that I've gotten over $6,000 or $7,000 closed on the first meeting, closed on the second meeting, or even closed in 3 weeks to 4 weeks. There's generally a lot of conversations coming back and forth and a lot of stuff. So just be patient with it. Don't get attached to it, and just keep plugging away with other clients. And before you know it, while you're working on that $10,000 client, you're going to bag a 2, 3, maybe a $5,000 client, two or three of those in the process. And that $10,000 client isn't going to mean as much to you because of all the hassle he's put you through over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And you just might say, just not worth it. So that would be my advice. We've got a question for Armando. Do you have any workflow templates you can share? The questions are already coming in. For you, Armando.
I can probably put something together for you. You know, a lot of these things that I do, it's like, you know, they're in your head, and I just execute them and put them in. I don't really think too much about the things that I do, believe it or not. It's like I have this idea, and I'm like, Khan, I'll tell you, I'll tell him about something that I'm going to plan on doing, and then I just kind of map it out on a piece of paper, and then I go ahead and do it. But for my automation stuff, yeah, I can put something together because I do have training videos that I give to my VAs, and um, and how they're going to do things for me and when they're going to do it. And I set my expectations with them. And that even includes me spending some time every week with them, like an hour or so on Skype with them as a team meeting, just to kind of go over a kickoff of the week or the next 2 weeks and what that's going to look like. It's important that they understand that they're part of the team, because they're the ones doing most of the work for me.
Great. Like I said, there seems to be a lot of interest in that, and we can definitely look into getting a module out on that. The next question is, if I wanted to be a real a-hole and take over the top 20 cities in my state for city SEO by building out my website and creating 20 unique Google business account locations through Joe's forwarding method, should I be wary of anything? Yes. How to spend your money. That is it. That is all I would worry about. I would definitely get on it, and I wouldn't worry about anything if that's what you want to do.
Unless you're trying to rank in Chicago or.
Oh, hey, if somebody, hey, I would be proud of anyone that outranked me anywhere. It's it's a big, big, big world out there. There's so many cities, there's so much opportunities, and there's so much money for everyone to make. So I wouldn't worry about that. Get that built. Take over the whole state if you want to. You only live once, man. I mean, the window's open, jump through it. You can't worry about hurting someone's feelings because you're outranking them. I mean, if they wanted to stay up and work as hard as you do, then they'd be outranking you. So do it. The only problem you're going to have is what color Ferrari to buy. That's all I'd worry about. So next question. Cotton, if you had to start all over from scratch, one of these questions, knowing what you know now, what would be the first thing that you would do to try to be able to position yourself to pick up your first local client? That's from Peter. Peter, that's a very, very good question. And I've stated before that if you were to take away my website, which is resilientsolution.cottongrammar.com, and the Visionators that are highly ranked in many different cities, I could still pull clients. And it's the fastest way. I have nothing against affiliate. Nothing against it at all. I'd like to think multiple streams of income is wonderful. I've just never went that route. I strictly do client SEO. And what I would basically do is just get clients. I mean, with what I know right now, you really don't need a website or anything ranked to do it. I mean, Becker gets a lot of clients, and Becker's not ranked anywhere. It's all about how you approach your confidence level, everything else. Think about it. If you know someone that knows a business owner, you're able to bag a $3,000 or $4,000 client, then go to another referral, before you know it. I guarantee you that if I started from scratch right now, and if I told you that my name was Tom Jones, and if I had to rank in another city, and if you want to put me out there, give me a 1-bedroom apartment, give me one little MacBook computer, give me a 20 meg connection, I promise you, with everything that I've learned in OMG, that I would be able to be at $20,000 to $50,000 a month inside of 60 days. And it's just because I know that the service that we provide, you have to believe that what we're doing is going to change businesses. If you believe that, you're convicted about it. You want to go out and help other businesses and share it with them, and you're confident about it. The only way that you're never going to make money at SEO is if you don't believe in it. I truly believe that wherever I go, I can change any business, and I can change their lives, and they're going to be happy with it and refer a whole lot more people over to me. Don't you agree, Derek, that if someone took away everything that you knew, you could still make money if you had to start from scratch?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Armando, what about you?
Absolutely. The first thing that I do is hit up a BNI and probably walk out with 2 or 3 clients. And I wouldn't even have to join. I'd show up as a guest.
Right. Don't you think, though, that, Armando, that everything has to do with your belief in SEO?
Yeah, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I can tell you that from experience, I was one of those guys too that also was like, oh, I got to get this, I got to get that, I got to get, proof, I got to be able to do this, I got to be able to rank a website and all this stuff. And when I first started, yeah, I built some PBNs, and guess what? They were all trash. They were all like spun content, just everything that I did wrong. And my first client actually funded my first set of PBNs. I walked in there and I said, hey man, this is what we're gonna do. This is why we're gonna do it. And in the price of setup, I included the fees for my PBNs to get set up, and that's how I was really able to hire my first VA part time.
Yeah, guys, just if you don't believe in OMG and the training that's out there, and you got Jimmy and Greg and all these other people out there pioneering the way for SEO. Every algorithm that comes out, they're just smacking it down just like crazy. You got Network Empire. You got me testing client methods all day long. That's all Derek does. And Derek's crazy good. Armando's out there testing new client methods all day also. Guys, if you don't believe that what we're doing can change businesses and lives, that's the number one thing that's going to stop you from getting any clients or from getting anything done. And that's when people cut the cord. You like seeing Stephen Toomey this week. He quit his job. Gregory Ortiz quit his job a couple months ago. They believed and knew deep down in their heart this was something that they could make more money at than anything that they were doing, and they cut the cord. And when you have that sort of belief in the training and what you're able to do, you can walk into anywhere doing anything. I just want to tell how easy it is to get clients. And I told this story at another webinar last week, but I just think it would go great here. I went to the Best Buy parking lot. I just wanted to take a quick break last week and went into Best Buy to go buy some lighting, and pulled up in there, and across the parking lot, I couldn't believe I seen a purple Lamborghini sitting there, and it wasn't parked away. Because if this was my Lamborghini, I'd have it parked away where no one could get any door dings on it or anything. It was literally sandwiched, like right in between the middle of the parking lot. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I wanted to walk over there and look at it. So I walked over there and looked at it. And at that moment, I noticed someone that was coming out of the screen. That was coming out of the building, and it was a larger black gentleman, and he looked like that, he was a football or baseball player. They're just very well built and diamond earrings on and everything. So I stopped him before he got in his car, and I said, hey, is this your Lamborghini? And he's like, yeah. I said, let me ask you a question. If you had to do it all over again, would you have chose this, or would you have went with a Ferrari? And he just kind of looked at me and he goes, Ferrari. I said, really? And I go, why? And him and I got in a conversation and anything, and I let him know that I was looking at one, and I was looking at several other different cars and something. And before long, he goes, hey, what do you do? He goes, you got to be doing well if you're looking to buy one of these. And I told him, I said, I own, a very successful search engine optimization firm. He goes, no shit. He goes, I'm looking for online leads. And I said, well, what do you do for your business? He goes, I have a call center, and what we do is we're looking for pain management leads. We help elderly people get placed into facilities all over the United States. And he goes, and I pay up to $150 a lead. He goes, we can't get any. We don't know anyone how to rank. I said, seriously? I said, well, that's right up my alley. So we exchanged cards. And we met yesterday, and we're going to work out a deal where it could be very, very, very lucrative. Guys, this is how easy it is to get clients if you're always looking. Consistently, I'm looking for deals 24/7 wherever I go. If I'm at the grocery store, guys, and this is a little secret that I'm going to tell you. Generally, when you're looking at guys that are driving Mercedes-Benz SLs, Bentleys, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, or anything else, chances are they're not working for anybody. They're their own boss, which means they own something and they're very successful. I'd find a way to talk to them. These are potential clients. I've studied watches, expensive watches that people wear, shoes, clothing, other stuff. I can pretty much spot out a business owner or someone that's highly successful, and I try to strike up a conversation with them. I don't care if it's the grocery store. I don't care if I'm going wherever I'm at. out to dinner, anywhere. I try to be friendly with everyone and talk to them. And I've been able to get some incredible business deals like that. And this one deal that I got there, I was able to pull out, which could potentially bring me $20,000, $30,000 a month. And so that's how easy it is to get clients if you're consistently looking and you're relentless. And that's all you want to do is to make money. And if you don't have your head on a swivel like that, looking for these deals, they fall through the cracks everywhere. Because I know that Armando hustles like that also. I've talked to him. Isn't it that easy to look for clients, Armando?
Yeah, it's actually really, really, really easy. I talk to people all the time. One of the guys that I'm in talks with, he's a business consultant, and he doesn't do SEO, online marketing. He actually helps businesses with their sales funnel and business development type stuff. And I met this guy through a BNI group that I showed up in as a guest. So one of the ladies there introduced me to him and said, you could help this guy out in his business. So I sent him an email, him and I had coffee, and I said, this is what I do. This is what I do. I drive leads. This is my system. Here's how I do it or whatnot. And, this guy is connected with other people. So I purposely targeted the person who has many connections so that I wouldn't have to go and work extra hard to talk to 20 or 30 other people. And he's brought me so much business. In fact, him and I are in a partnership right now to target, some very high-end niches. And he's actually doing all the work for me. He's actually selling everything and doing everything for me. All I'm going to do is put it through my workflow, put it through my system, and then go to the bank. It's as easy as that.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Guys, wherever you go, if you're serious about this business, wherever you go, be looking for money just falling out on the floor. It's just nuts how much money you can make at SEO. And if you're not looking for it, you'll never find it. And it's that easy. And if you go, well, I never run into these people, then you're not hanging out in the right places. So just change who you're hanging out with and change where you're going, and you'll be surprised what happens. So the next question is, what types of services do you guys offer clients? Maps, link building, web design, anything else? Guys, it's simply up to you. What do you want to be involved in? Self, I only do search engine optimization and maps. So, if you want web design or, if you want other stuff, you're going to have to go somewhere else. It's all about your business. Remember, this is why you're doing this, is so you can do things and not have headaches or worry about what you're going to do. Build the business the way you want to build it. If you're great at web design, offer web design. If you're like myself, I don't know anything about web design. I'm no Mike Hayden. Mike's fantastic at it, and I don't really particularly like web design. I love web design and how it looks, and I want my site to look a certain way, but I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to know anything about it. I just want to make money. And to me, to learn that, there's not enough money behind it for me where I can go out and get one client and turn it into $30,000 versus just building a website, getting hit $5,000, $10,000 and be one and done. But, if you're great at web design, offer it. But what I don't want you to do is, if your main goal is to go out and make money, is to offer a bunch of services to make a client happy. So it's all about your business and how you want to run it and what best suits you. That's what you should do, and don't change the rules for any business. I made that mistake with a $17,000 client. They wanted me to get involved in a bunch of PPC, a bunch of Facebook advertising and everything else. Before I knew it, I wanted to chop my head off, and I basically ended up firing him. So when you're doing what you don't want to do, you're going to be miserable. Doing what you're doing means you're going to be happy. So that's my advice.
Can I add to that a little bit? What do we do?
Sure.
Because we don't actually do too much web design, but we offer it, and we offer a whole bunch of other services. But we just made basically affiliate deals with other companies that are local that don't offer SEO, and so we basically hand them the web design deal, and in return we get SEO deals because they now can offer SEO to their clients. And so that's how we get a lot of clients, just through web developers and web designers, and even have some social media experts that don't know anything about social media. So it works both ways that way.
Sure. That's a very valid point that you just brought up. I have someone that's in website security right now that, that sends me clients all the time. But, if there's something that that you don't want to do, find someone in OMG or find someone locally that might want to take the business. And I do that as well. I hand over all of my web design to one particular person, but I don't want anything from him in return. And that's why my mind's not on that to like flip it over to clients. He just works on my site and does whatever I need for him anytime I want with any deal. And I kind of coach him up with SEO and stuff. So it's kind of an even trade for me. I just don't want to get involved with, worrying about clients like that. But that's a very valid point that Derek brought up. And you can also
Well, we just landed one that was a $7,000 website build, so we just took basically 60% of that and then just handed it off. So
here's a very special question, and someone asked Cotton, what is a PBN? And if you don't know what a PBN is, you might want to go through the Greg's training in OMG. It says Tasha wants to know, so the map strategy of how to do this is in Director's Cut. Yes, Derek and I shot a module last week that goes over the custom maps that is in Director's Cut right now. If you'll go to my name and click on it, it'll be Google Custom Maps. It should be right in there. It says, Paul wants to know, how would you go about setting up your USA City SEO site if you are living in another country? You know what? I'll ask someone that's currently living in another country right now how they do it. Derek?
Well, I just set it up just like I would set up any website, basically. It isn't. The only thing is I use tracking phone numbers that are local to the area, and the rest is just the same way. Make sure you're hosting as close as you can to that country. I'm in Canada, so we mostly use U.S. hosting anyways, but there's not much to it. I mean, it's not like if you're in Germany, they have to get a .de website and trying to serve U.S. citizens with it. So you want to make sure you get a .com. That's all about it.
Sure. Good answer. Next question is from Tommy. What site do you use for client volume of searches? I missed it when you mentioned it last time. And do you concentrate on monthly or yearly searches? Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I just use SEMrush and I use monthly searches. So if you're looking at that, I want to show them what they're going to be paying me monthly. I want to be showing them what searches on average over 12 months they're going to be getting monthly and what possible revenue that they're losing or going to be gaining over the course of a month. And that's what I kind of use. So I do it all monthly. Newbie question from Alex. It says, in regards to PBNs, is there a PBN module in this course? Or can you point to the PBN resource to explain how to build PBNs? Alex, you might want to, if you don't have access to OMG Project Breakthrough, you might want to consider upgrading to that, which goes over all of that right there. But this is more of an advanced for Director's Cut. And if you don't know what a PBN is right now, I would suggest that you upgrade or go through Greg's modules and get yourself educated on it. And we got a question from Pip. You only work with one client per niche city when you are done these deals in a niche? Yes. What he basically asked is do I take more than one? If I'm working with a personal injury attorney in Orlando, Florida, am I going to work with another personal injury attorney in Orlando, Florida? No. I only work with one per particular geographical area. So I might work with one in Orlando, Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville, but I'm not going to work with two personal injury attorneys in the same area. To me, I just think it's unethical. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's your own business, but I would certainly disclose that to like both of them. I did have a situation when I was in St. Louis that I had two mortgage companies, the top two mortgage companies in the city. One wanted me to rank them for just general mortgage. Another one was just VAs. The other one did not do any VA loans. So they agreed that there was no conflict of interest. So I was able to take both clients, even though they were in a very, very similar niche. But as long as you get it cleared through the clients and, there's not going to be any animosity or anything like that, or there's nothing unethical going on, I don't see any problem with it. But I generally just choose one per area. It says, Cotton, would you share the topics of your drip videos? Patrick, I think that's something I'm going to be putting in modules. It's going to be coming out over the next few months, and maybe some examples of that. Trying to go over it now might take up a little bit of time, but that's a very great question, and that's something that I planned on showing people, a list of topics that I drip out to my clients, and that's going to be a module that will be coming very, very, very soon. Question for Derek. So Derek, can you create a Google My Business for each of your mysite.com cities or other city?
Yes, so you'll need a separate account for each phone number and address, basically. And then sometimes I don't even create one, and I can still rank in the maps, but it's kind of advanced.
Mm-hmm. Great. And we have a question from Josh. Do you offer any money back guarantees after your grace period is up, or does it not really help the sales process? Armando, let's ask you that question.
I offer no money back guarantee. It actually does not help the sales process at all. Think of it this way: if they were to buy an ad in a magazine for $1,500 a month, and after that month was up, they got no calls, would that magazine refund their money? Same thing with a billboard, same thing with a radio ad, same thing with any sort of other medium. If they're paying advertising dollars, let's say they buy PPC and they spend $3,000 a month for the first month on PPC, and they got not one single client, will Google refund that money back? And the answer to that is no. These are advertising dollars. What we're trying to do here is shift the advertising dollars from one medium to the other. And so to answer your questions, nope and no.
Yeah, basically you don't have control over the conversion of their website either, so if they're not handling it on their end,
let me play
them back?
Let me play devil's advocate to you both.
Yeah.
Well, then what are you guys going to offer me? Why am I just going to spend $3,000 a month, and you're going to tell me that you can't guarantee me that I can, that I'm going to be ranked in the next 3 months or the next 6 months?
No, we don't provide any money back guarantee in a specific spot, but what you're actually paying for me is my expertise and my time. So if I see that there's an issue with your website not converting, then I'm going to step in and let you know, here's the situation with your website. Maybe let's change these things up. Maybe let's add a call to action. Maybe let's add a form. There's a whole other thing besides just getting a monthly search traffic and a monthly search volume to your site. You can be number one and not make one single sale if your website is not right. So what you're actually paying is for my knowledge and my expertise.
Mr. SEO company, I heard that, but I'm just asking for a guarantee of rankings, not a guarantee of the phone ringing or clients. Can you give me that?
I can't give you that. And it comes to a point that maybe we're just not a good fit for each other. I've got about 4 other meetings with company ABC. And let me know if you still want to work with us. We are the best. We do what we do. We have hundreds of websites ranking on page 1, but I cannot guarantee you something that I know that I may not have control over if Google changes their algorithm or something like that. Now, if you do find a company that does that, just make sure you ask all the right questions.
But Mr. SEO company, if I take my car in to get it fixed, they guarantee to get it fixed. You're wanting me to charge me, and you said that it's probably going to take months to get it done. You want to charge me $18,000 to $20,000 with no guarantee whatsoever. You can understand me sitting here as a business and how I would at least want some sort of guarantee of movement or something. You can't even guarantee me page 1.
I can't guarantee you page 1 within a certain amount of time. What we can do for you is tell you that we're going to get your phone ringing faster than anybody else will.
Okay. Hopefully that was helpful to you guys. And that's why I love Armando and that's why I love Derek. They do things very, very, very differently than I do. And I respect exactly what they've said. But I'm one of the few people that I've got balls of steel. I offer a money back guarantee. And that doesn't mean that I'm right, they're wrong. It doesn't mean that they're right, I'm wrong. It's just how I do business. I offer out after that grace period, and I've never had to give anyone's money back. I guarantee page 1. I feel that myself, I like to treat clients how I would want to be treated. And if I was doing this and if I was going to be spending money on my business, I would want them to be confident enough to look at me in the eyes and say, hey, look, if I can't do this for you, then you shouldn't have to pay for anything. So I do guarantee page 1, and I've never had to get my money back. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that it stays there. And in other words, something has to touch page 1, whether it be a YouTube video, a social profile, or something for the main keyword that they wanted to go after. And I've always been able to meet that with every single client that I've been. and I've never even had to use a grace period. So if you study everything that's done at OMG, you can. I respect them not wanting to do it, and it's probably smarter. I'm probably the stupid one for doing it. I've just had a bad habit maybe that I've kept for the last year doing client consulting. But there's two ways to do it. I agree with Armando's way, and I'll still continue to do it the my way. I just feel that if someone's going to hire my expertise, and if you've hired me to hit a home run, I don't hit a home run, I'm not your baseball player. But I can understand them doing it. Actually, it makes them a better salesperson, in my opinion. Armando's killing it, $50,000 a month, and it's harder, in my opinion, to sell with no guarantees than it is selling with guarantees. So maybe I'm the one that's, being a little weak doing it that way. But it's always worked for me, and I've never got my, hand clipped yet. And I guess the first time that I do get clipped, I'll probably stop doing it. So maybe I just like to live. Maybe I just like to live dangerously. I have no idea, but they're like both ways that you can do.
You know what I do? Can I say something? On this topic.
Sure.
What I do when I'm speaking to clients and they ask for this, because this has come up, and it does come up when you're dealing with bigger clients. My approach to the whole, page one, let's move up the rankings, let's get between, spot A and spot B or whatnot, is that I focus more on the bringing business through the door as opposed to bringing in the rankings, because it may take me a little longer to do certain things depending on the niche. But I know that if I allocate, let's say that I'm charging somebody, $2,500 a month, and they want this guarantee, and I'm like, I'm just not going to give you a guarantee that I'm going to rank you within 30 days, because some clients are just unrealistic, right? And I say, what I will do for you though is I'll make sure that your phone is ringing, as soon as I can get it to ring. I can guarantee that your phone will be ringing with new customers within 3 weeks, within 2 weeks, as we work towards this process. What I do then is I take a small chunk of that budget, I allocate it towards AdWords, and that instantly gets that phone ringing, whether it's 2 calls a week, 1 call a week, 3 calls a week, 4 calls a week, until I build up to where we need to be. And that's how I handle this process in my business.
Mm-hmm. That's a very fantastic answer, and that's a great way of doing things. And that's why I love Armando. Like I said, he's a beast, and him and I do things 2 different ways. My philosophy on that is I frame them to know they're not going to get anything from me for 6 months. And if you're not okay with that, hit it. I got other people that want my business. So I don't even play that game. So it's funny, it's funny how that we're both strong in other areas. You're like, no guarantee or hit the bricks. And I'm like, whoa, wait. We'll give you one. And you're like, wait a minute, I'll get you the phone to ring. I'm like, you know what? You want your phone to ring? Hit the bricks. So it's always great to hear different methods and different stuff. And they're both great ways. It's just, I don't like to be bothered at all. When you're my client, I don't really even want to hear from you, if I'm doing my work right. So, for me to do that effort, I just let them know that don't expect anything for 6 months. And if they're okay with that, I keep dripping out content and I don't really have to mess with them. But Armando's way is very effective as well. I know a lot of people that do that, and it's very successful and it gets businesses happy. I am walking the tightrope on that, because I generally get some resistance after 3 months, and I've got to drip some more videos out to them, and they're generally okay with it after that. Here is a question probably for Derek. If you are attempting to rank a website for multiple states but no actual addresses, can you use spun content for each state and service, or would that cause a penalty?
Well, people are using SERP Shaker right now, which is a popular tool, and then you can have the option to spin, but I rather prefer having a really high quality article and then just changing the local modifier on it, and then Google's not going to be complaining that it's poor content, and instead of having random different kind of keywords stuffed in there and doesn't really make sense. So we've proven it many times over that you can have the same article with just changing the city and the state and the postal address or zip code, and it'll rank fine like that. And Google there's no penalty for local right now on duplicate content. So as long as the pages are not competing against each other, and then you're fine using the same content over and over. For now, we don't know what's going to happen 2 or 3 years from now, but
That's like true. And one of the things that I've done based on what Derek just said, his last sentence for now, is I put up, even though the cottongrammar.com looks very similar all the way through, I do have unique content on the very last 25% of the site on every different page, just because I don't want to get hit with that sort of stuff. And I figured that that would be better than just copying the same thing over and over and over again. So, just like playing it extra safe. But
a lot of people also do, they'll have the same copy basically, and then they'll have just like those little tabs that are collapsible, and then they'll have unique content in there that's kind of just city oriented, but it just might not be very good for reading. So
wouldn't you agree also, just to play it safe, just spend a few extra dollars, put some original content on there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're doing, if it's for lead gen and you're not really worried about it, then I just crank them out. But then if you want to build up a business and have it for a long time, then I'd invest in getting unique quality content. It doesn't even have to be the whole page, it's just something unique to that city, or or even sub pages underneath it to build a silo out of it. So
great. Next question is from Andre. It says, "Hey Cotton, I have a potential client that is a well-established real estate agent. Just wanted to get an idea of what you would do to make a video that gets his interest. This is the email he sent. I want high ranking for new condo projects I work on. Only create pages on my website for pre-construction, new condo projects that are good." Pretty much an email. He just reached out to you and wants you to show him what you can do. The bottom line is, right now, he's reached out to you because he is losing money right now because he's not ranked in the keywords that he went for. The very first thing that I would get him to do, if you haven't already done it, is to get him to fill out a discovery form. If you don't know what a discovery form is, go to cottongrammar.com, look at my discovery form, and you would get him to fill that out so you can get the accurate information of exactly what he wants. We want to know what keywords he wants to rank with, because obviously it's easier to sell someone what they want versus what we think they want. That's what I would do. Then I would just show him, the lost revenue by not being there and the potential revenue that he can have by ranking there. Don't overcomplicate it. When business owners see how much money they're losing and how much money they can gain, that generally gets their interest. And if you have any credibility at the moment, whether you've got any rankings, it always helps me, because I'm ranked #1 in Chicago, or, if you've got a lot of LinkedIn recommendations. Guys, that's another little secret that I've tried to teach over and over and over again, and no one wants to take me up on it. If you don't rank anywhere, now please, if you're new or if you haven't done this, if you're not ranked anywhere right now, get with other OMGers and trade LinkedIn recommendations. I'm not talking about going on there and clicking on there, yes, I'm good at SEO, yes, I'm good at this. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about trade written recommendations with other OMGers, because guess what? We're all business owners. And when you have about 10 or 15 of these on your LinkedIn site, if you go to cottongrammar.com and look at my testimonials, those are all OMGers. And when someone looks at your LinkedIn profile and they want to know, hey, what do you have any referrals, or have you done any work, to say, I've got a list of over a dozen people that have recommended me for search engine optimization. That's my credibility. They will shut the hell up after that. So that's my little secret to you on how to go out and get credibility. If you're new, if you're not ranking anywhere, you guys should be like mad trying to swap referrals with people in OMG. I think I'm up to 40 or something, and I still get it to this day. I mean, I had a client last week that goes, do you have any recommendations or referrals? And I'm going, oh, are you effing with me? I just showed you that I'm ranked in all these places. And I'm like, you know what? Go to my website. There's a testimonial section. If you look at it, it goes directly back to my LinkedIn site, where I have over 30 written recommendations from business owners and CEOs all across the world. I never heard a word from him after that. He shut up afterwards. and I got him as a client. So it's a very powerful tactic. When like people want to do that, it's mainly a stall tactic, but it also gives you credibility also. So if you're not ranking anywhere, that's my little secret to give you credibility, and you've got the ability to do that inside of OMG. Let's go to the next question. I just read today that with Moz Local, if you do not renew yearly citations, they revert back to the way they were before using Moz Local. This was mentioned in the facts.
That's false. What happens is they cancel the enhanced listing. So if sometimes some will have enriched like images or videos, or some will have your website URL. But what happens if you cancel that is you just lose the enhanced part of it, and you can actually reclaim the business again if you want after that, but if they'll stay up. This actual citation, which is what we really want, will always stay up unless another business tries to claim it as their business, So.
God, I didn't realize that we are so far behind on questions. It's ridiculous. I'm just now on the questions of people talking about the marathon analogy. We are so far behind.
It's like 8:20 in questions right now.
Right. Let me just get to some of the questions here. It says, Dustin says, Cotton, how did you go about building 50 PBNs in 2 months? I currently have 8, and it takes me about 10 hours to build one once I purchase it. Is there a faster way? It goes, how did you come up with the content for 50 PBNs? You get faster, and when you keep doing it over and over again, you get faster at these sort of things. I'm going to be honest with you. I just ordered all of my content from iWriter and put up a picture, did it exactly like Greg said, and made sure it passed Copyscape, even though Copyscape doesn't work sometimes. And I just did it old school back in the day. Nowadays, you've got so many people trying to sell PBNs right now. You've got people that you can buy that'll even set up the PBN for you. There's a lot of different ways that you can get this done a whole lot faster if you don't want to do it yourself. I encourage you to build out and do the first 25 or 30 PBNs yourself, just so you have that knowledge. How can you train a VA, or how can you know if someone's doing anything correctly if you don't know how to do it yourself? With anything, it's going to take a little bit longer than normal. If you need help in getting shortcuts with content, they're just ask an OMG, who's a very person that that does unique content, that puts it out very quickly. And just rewatch Greg's modules and like OMG. I mean, Greg's a beast, man. I mean, that's how I learned everything about how to set up a PBN safely and like everything. So just kind of be a little bit patient with yourself. And with like time, you're going to be clipping them out left and right. I think the last time I timed myself, Armando, didn't I put out a video in like one of our private groups that I set up a PBN in like 7.5 minutes?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah. So my whole thing is that was start. That was from GoDaddy to a private IP to everything. It was up and just everything up in like 7.5 minutes. So you get better at everything with like practice. So just keep working at it, and it'll like come to you. Let's see here. How would you handle recurring payments of $3,000 or more? It's called PayPal subscription. That's what I use. I don't want to have to chase money. Unfortunately, if you're not on a subscription system or a credit card system that gets recurring payments, it's very hard to chase money if it's just not automatically pulled out. That would be my recommendation. It says, do you think Command Center would work very well for workflow? That would be a question I would direct over to Colin. I don't actually have Command Center. I've never looked at it or used it, so I wouldn't be able to answer that question. It says, in working with a $4,000 client, for example, do you do that charge per month? I know it depends on the industry. Everything is based upon search volume and the amount of money that I can bring that potential client with the search volume. So if it warrants that amount of money, that's what I spend. If something doesn't, I generally don't take them on as a client. For instance, if Taco Bell came to me and they wanted me to, just one Taco Bell wanted me to get them ranked, how many people am I going to get in this Taco Bell? I mean, if people spending $6, how many people searching Taco Bell? I mean, it's just going to be worthless for me to do that. So everything is based upon high ticket items whether you're searching, if you get a large excavation company that has $250,000 equipment, you might only need to get them one sale a month, and they net $125,000. They'll happily pay $8,000 a month. So it's all about search volume versus what the client is worth to them. So I like to go after higher ticket items. It says, Armando, the training videos for your VAs would be very helpful. Thanks. So they would like for you to do a module on how to get and how to train VAs. I'm sure that would be a 10-hour module, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be a long time. Getting VAs and getting that stuff takes up some work in the beginning. You'd have to go through several VAs. You have to get the ones that'll work out for you. What I found out is that if I find a VA that has zero experience, it works out better for me. I've hired probably 15 or 20 throughout, and I was just telling Derek before we got on this webinar that I've had great success with the ones that don't have experience, because I can really train them to do exactly what I want them to do and how I like things done. But then you have to create the videos, of course, and just make sure that everything is done to your liking.
Sounds great. We have another question here. It says, I'm going to prepare a cotton style video for my potential SEO client. He's my fraternity brother and a local attorney who would like SEO personal injury attorney in my local area. He spends $2,000 a month on radio and the local bar association for marketing and getting zero results. Should I propose shifting that $2,000 over to me, or should I ask for more? What do you recommend? It depends on the search volume in your area, and it depends on if you're in a larger metropolitan area. And you also want to look at the pay-per-click on that. Like, my God, man, like if you're living in Chicago or something, like pay-per-click on personal injury attorneys is like $147 a click. I mean, it's like crazy. So look at the search volume, look at the pay-per-click that it's there, and it's obviously a pretty easy shift to take $2,000, and you might even be able to take more. It just all depends on your relationship with them. And guys, each individual person, always understand this. Pricing is to the individual only. There's no set kind of template to where, oh my God, it's a personal injury attorney, he's automatically $5,000. It might be less. You might be in a smaller town that doesn't have a lot of people. He might only be at $1,500. So always use what it's worth to them through search volume. And there is a pricing module that I have in Director's Cut that should help you a little bit more. Just rewatch that. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. It says here, I like the display picture of the webinar. I had not figured out the 15 MA. I was just trying to be funny with the MA 15 plus. When looking for new clients, what kind of businesses do you go after? Armando, I'll let you answer that one.
I'm very niche. I don't try to go after everyone and everything. I used to in the beginning, and I found that I was running around all the time. So what I like to do is focus on specific industry. Right now I'm in healthcare, and I'm in some other luxury type services. And so I specifically go after, in healthcare, I go after surgeons, but not after like what everyone else is going after, which is plastics. I go very, very niche. So I would go into something like female cardiologist, or a female or a male urologist, or something like that, or a cardiovascular surgeon. So I go very, very niche. I find that if you stick with one industry, you stick with one type of client, you have much more success, because you can then understand what their business model looks like and what their workflow looks like, and you're able to target and prospect better paying clients. So it really depends, but that's from my experience, that's worked best for me.
And it's working well, man. You're like killing it. And I'll be happy to answer that as well. I go after everything that makes money. I don't turn down anything. If I smell something that's making money, I'll kind of chase it down. So I don't really turn down anything, and I don't have a specific niche. But I wish I did, but I just don't. I'm just greedy like that. So Armando's way works very, 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 very well. It says here, what do VAs cost on average? Armando and Derek can answer that, because I've never hired a VA before. So
yeah, I usually pay about $450 a month.
For how many hours?
Full time.
Hold on, 40 hours a week. Hold on. $450. I like that. I go, you're a slave labor, man. I like that you were talking about $4.50 a month.
No, 450.
I was like, where are you getting these people at, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I pay around
Saving
$4. Yeah.
For an hour, or are you talking about? So you're like saying that your answer is that a good VA is going to cost about $4 an hour. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's about it. And actually, I was talking to a friend of mine who does a lot of outsourcing on the UK, and I was asking him, the exact same question. Hey, how much are you paying your VAs? And I was telling him how much I was paying, and he's like, "Damn, you're overpaying." And I go, "What? $4 an hour? I'm overpaying." But that's about average, anywhere between $3 to $4. The higher you pay, the better the quality, of course. But that's an average. And the other thing with VAs is that you can get them to do specific tasks for you. So if all you want is these guys to like build Web2s or build out your PBNs, you can work out a deal with them as a price per unit. So maybe they can build out your PBNs for like $2 a piece or something. Then you can also do that. It's just so many different ways to work it.
Cool. And Derek, you say that your average is running about $450 a month.
Yeah, it depends on what I'm doing. Like I also do. Sometimes I do like paper project or paper PBN kind of thing like that, because some people in the past I have had, they would try to run the clock basically and not get a whole lot done. So when you get the motivation to work harder per task, then they'll get a lot more work done.
Great. Guys, I would love to be able to answer it, but I've never hired a VA. I attempted to do it once about 6 or 7 months ago, and I literally felt like I would rather shoot myself in the head than have to deal with it after about 2 hours of trying to explain to something and realizing that they didn't understand any English. I was like, you know what? I could have already had this done. And so I don't use any VAs, but maybe I should. I have no idea. I like work a lot, though, so. They want to know if you can explain very, very quickly, Armando, what BNI is.
BNI is it's an association that a lot of chapters have of business owners. I don't really know what it stands for, to be honest with you. But what it is there's a chapter in almost every county or every city or every real geographical area. So here in Houston, there could be a Houston chapter, South Houston chapter, East Houston, and then you have all the outlying counties, and they each may have a chapter. And it's business owners, local business owners from the community that go and meet, and they take one type of business per chapter. So if you're in chapter A and you already have an attorney, a lawyer, an SEO person, and something else, then you can't have 2 SEO people or 2 lawyers or 2 real estate agents. And they're just there to talk about business. They have goals that they have to meet at the end of the month, at the end of the year, and it's basically a place that business owners go to refer business to other business owners. So I can end up with like 4 or 5 leads from the attorney guy that goes to the BNI where I go to, that he's met other attorney friends that are looking for web services, and then he funnels them through me. And I'll do the same thing if, let's say, somebody's looking for landscaping, there's a landscaper in that group, I'll funnel that business to them. And it's sort of like business owners just connecting with other business owners.
Interesting. And what is normally the cost to join that?
It depends on the chapter. You can go as a guest to like several different BNI groups, so you can kind of see where you're gonna fit. And I think it's like, I want to say it's like $400 a year or something like that. It's something really cheap.
You know what? There's like someone in the audience I'm gonna try to pull up that just got a client from BNI. I'm gonna see if I can get her on. Let's see here. Angela, are you there? Let me see if we can get Angela. Hey, Angela, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Tell us about BNI. What happened at BNI with you recently?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, so BNI stands for Business Networking International, and I joined a chapter back in May of last year. And I just wasn't getting any clients at all, and it just was driving me absolutely crazy. For some reason, the people in my group had, a lot of them had done SEO before, and they were like used to paying, $150 a month for it, and which is a ridiculous price, and of course they got nowhere. right? So they weren't inclined to try out my services. So I was kind of frustrated that I wasn't getting any traction in the group. So I just decided, you know what? Screw it. If I can't sell it, I'm going to give it away. And that's what I started doing. So what I did was I created some review videos for some of these members in the group, and I ranked them for really easy terms. Like there was this one realtor, and I ranked her for her realty company review, right? So of course, before anybody hires you, they check you out online. So they type in whatever your business name is, review. And now anytime anybody types in this woman's realty company, which is one of the biggest here in Dallas and most prestigious, they get her name coming up first. So she's just a realtor there. So there are probably like 200 realtors there. When you type in that realty company and review, she comes up #1, not just in their video rankings, but in the Google rankings. So,
wow.
So what I did was I ranked them, and then I went. So we always get an opportunity to give. It's called a commercial, right? So you get a chance. It's like 60 seconds, 45 seconds, depending on how big the group is, to talk about your business and to tell everyone else in the group what a good referral is for you. So I stood up and I just said, hey, I want to congratulate Jane on her page 1 ranking. You know, she's ranking #1 for this keyword, and I can do the same thing for you. And I did a few of those every week, and pretty soon people were hiring me. So I got about $1,000 worth of business last month, which isn't much, but now I have one of the members who is a franchise broker wants to hire me to do SEO for him. So, you know, that's a really good thing, and I'm going to put together a proposal for him.
So I understand that you just got a new client over the last 24 hours. Why don't you tell us about that?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I went off on this tangent, right? So anyway, I did get a referral to a plastic surgeon, and I created a video proposal. It took me like 15 minutes. I created a video proposal for her, and she said, yeah, looks great. This is what I'd like to rank for. And I said, okay, how about $4,000 to start and $3,000 a month? And so I typed up the agreement and sent it off to her, and she's already got me in touch with her web guy and everybody else that I need to be in touch with. So,
wow.
You know, it works.
$4,000 deal, $3,000 a month up front, and you got it from going to BNI.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So guys, it's proof there. And by the way, this Angela Langlotz, it's like talking, she's doing very, very, very well also. But I just wanted to bring her on to let you know the power of BNI and how I just heard today that she had shared with everyone, you know, that she got a new client, 4,000 startup, $3,000 a month, and how that does work. And that is a way for you to get clients. And I know that she's been working that like group for a few months now, and it's been starting to pay off. But one of the things about Angela that she's always been very tenacious, and she's always never given up, and that's what got her success. So just because you don't try doesn't mean that you don't keep doing it. She didn't give up, and it's going to turn into, you know, if you add that over the course of 6 months, you know, it's like $25,000 in her pocket by the time she's done with all this. And that's a lot of money just to be going somewhere, just hanging out with other business owners. So great to hear about your success, Angela. Hopefully we hear some more, and we'll be happy to bring you on when we hear some more deals coming in. So thanks.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Great. Okay, we'll move on to some other questions, and we will see here. It says, with a new client, do you do market analysis, choosing the right keywords, building out a silo, web foundation, etc., and hand it over to a web designer, or from the get-go, do you hand this over? I'll let one of you two answer it, and then I'll answer it.
Well, I personally, I have control of all of the keyword research, and I want to know, I have usually creative ideas of how to get traffic, not always just going after their main keywords in their city or whatever they're doing, but sometimes the traffic volume is not there, so I try to come up with something more creative that's going to convert for them, and then I give the developers exactly like the markup for the website, the exact wording of some paragraphs I want for the keywords, and then I hand that all over, and then I come back after the website's developed, and then make any changes for SEO, especially the silo and any of the HTML coding and anything that make it work better, like CDN networks or anything like that. So developers are usually just handling design and the CMS system. So that's what I do.
Armando, what about you?
I do the whole process, because what I focus on is providing them with more than just SEO rankings. My business model is about giving them a marketing system that actually encompasses all the areas that they're lacking in. So I focus on how we're going to get the traffic, how we're going to drive the traffic, and then once it gets to the website, how we're going to work on their website to increase conversions. If that's redesigning a new website, then that's great. If that's scratching that website and building a new one, or just moving elements around it, that's great. And then we move on through the process. So what I do first is I do the initial analysis. I always start off with something that I call seed keywords, and that's sort of an expectation that I set in my client's mind, is that there's going to be some seed keywords, but that doesn't mean that these are the only terms that you're going to rank for, because as you know, you can rank them for hundreds and dozens of terms. And so once you start showing those smaller wins, those longer tail keywords, if you're not up to where you need to be with your seed keywords, then it's still okay, because you're still making leeway. So I hand everything over to a web designer, and the web developer kind of goes over redesigning their website, and like I said, my VA start building PBNs, my VA start building content, and it's just sort of an overall picture of everything that I do.
Great. I think you guys handled that question well enough where I don't need to answer. The next question is, would Derek, Cotton, or Armando be open to offering SEO services as white label? I'll let you guys answer that.
I do it for some people, and depends on the client, and I need to know what's being quoted originally, basically, just so there's enough meat left on the bone. That's how I do it. But Armando, how about you?
I normally don't, because, like I said, what I'm doing is an entire system for them. So everything from even creating a referral program for these clients. And that's why I'm able to charge the prices that I'm charging, is because sometimes it's not just about the SEO, it's about making all of those pieces kind of work in harmony. And I'm providing a system to them that actually, when implemented right, could work. Because my philosophy on this thing is that you get them to page 1, let's say position 1 for their key term. They're going to get the traffic, they're going to get some conversions, but how well will that work if you actually redid their website to one that actually converted? How well would that how further along could you take that process if you put in a proper referral program for their business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Great. And you know what? We have another man with ice in his veins. Mike Hayden says, I always guarantee page 1, man of my liking. So there's there's like some of us out there that do that. And like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat, guys. You got to do things that are comfortable with you. This is your business. Make it however you want. There's no right or wrong answer. And, we just all have ideas, and we're sharing them with you. And take them and just make them your own. The next question is, I have a prospective client who is on page 1 and also in the 7-pack and wants to get for number 1 for both. How do you handle this? Derek? You just rank them?
Yeah. Well, I'd focus just purely on the organic side of it, because that'll be pushing them up and blended as well. So, so there's lots of tricks you can do, but yeah, just keep building links and optimize the site better. It's just the whole process of doing any client, really.
Mm-hmm. We have a very good question, and I think that we're going to wrap up questions with this, and then we're going to move over to Armando's training, and then we'll go back to some questions after that if we want to keep the webinar going. But it's from Mary Schemmer, and she has a very good question. It's a very complicated question, and I would like for all three of us to answer it. It says, what would you do about a company that has 500 keywords on their list? How many would you work on? It says, would you do them in batches? I've got an e-commerce client that only ranks for brand searches, but there are at least 500 keywords that they want to rank for. Derek, I'll let you start, Armando, and then I'll go last.
Yeah, so I group them into the similar types of keywords and then build out the silos to target those kind of keywords, because then if you're targeting anywhere along the silo, the juice will flow between all those pages, and it should rank, instead of just one or two terms at a time, you should be ranking up to 100 or so keywords that are similarly matched at the same time. So if you had cell phones, a whole silo of just different types of cell phones, you could probably rank majority of all the different name brands of cell phones just by focusing on the top of the silo, and send the juice down through the rest of the site that way. So that's how I do.
Armando, what would you do?
Yeah, I would group them the same way. I agree with Derek. I group similar keywords together and then go after a specific cluster first before moving to the next cluster, because you never know how much power you're going to need. You can sort of estimate, but if there's 500 keywords, you silo them all together and put them into categories, sort of, if you will, and then you work on those each cluster. Then you have a better chance of gaining more ground as opposed to spreading yourself thin, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree with everything they said, so I really don't have much to add to it. But this sounds like a client that can continue to be a revenue source for you for well over a year, even beyond. So by breaking them off into clusters and working on them individually, you just let them know to be patient. And if you set up the expectations and tell them exactly what to expect, how long it's going to take, exactly what you're going to want to do, and if they're okay with it, and as long as they see some movement on things, you're going to be fine, and you're going to be able to make money off this client for well over a year, maybe even permanently. I mean, with something like that, that's something that's going to need SEO and watched after consistently. So let's see if we can take another simple question here. It says, how long is a contract with a client? Do you have clients beyond a year? People aren't going to like my answer to that. I don't do contracts, and I want to give the clients an end date. I'm not one that, and once again, this is just my opinion. To me, I'm able to get so many clients because I offer them an end date. So when I get a client, I generally do my analysis, and I know exactly how long it's going to take me to get that site ranked and to get them out, in and out the door. So I'm basically looking at a client as a set dollar amount. So, if the client's $5,000 a month and I know it's going to take me about 6 to 7 months to get them ranked, I'm looking at this as a $30,000 investment. So with that, I just get an end date because I want them to know that the payments are going to end. If not, it's a mortgage. If like not, it's kind of like a nagging sort of irritation that just never goes away, and it starts to cause a lot of problems, especially if it's a high dollar amount. It's easier to keep people with low dollar amounts, but when I have clients that are in excess of $5,000 a month, they could just go out and do pay-per-click. They could do other stuff. So what I generally do is give them an end date of when that's going to end, so they know exactly how much they're going to invest in me. And I don't do contracts. You want to know why? Because I don't like contracts. I don't like being told that if I'm unhappy with a service, or if there's a relationship that just isn't there. Remember, every relationship that you get into with a client is no different than you dating someone. 2 months down the road, she might be the greatest girl ever the first 2 months. And in that third month, she might turn into an axe murderer. You don't want to say, oh my God, I have to stay with her, and I've got to be locked in this room with her, and I've got to keep, buying her dinner and going out with her. That's not what you want. And I don't want a client to feel like that either. If for some reason we have a client clash, or just a difference of personality, or a difference of direction that the business needs to go, I want them to feel comfortable, and I feel comfortable that I'm able to escape out of it. And they also feel comfortable knowing that there's an end date, that there's a certain amount of money that they're going to spend, and then they're going to get a return of investment on it. So I'm not one to use contracts, and I've never had a client longer than 10 months. I like think, and I generally just cut them off and just say, guys, we're like done, you know. And my goal is to try to get them working for me and sending me referrals. And guys, it's a whole lot easier. And I'm doing a very long module, a whole series. It's going to be like 5 to 7 hours long that goes into client psychology and how to take a client from point A to point B and get them to work with you. Your main goal is not to see how much you can just scrape by $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 for one extra month out of this client before they hate you, because you're number one. You've got them ranked number one. They can't go any higher. And it's like you're paying extortion to be there when they should be able to experience that return of investment. What you need to do is work on from the beginning, trying to get them to that number one position and then trying to get them to work for you to get you more clients through referrals. Because that $5,000 a month, why would you want them to hate you when you can get them to send you 3 to 4 more clients, which at the same amount of money, which that $5,000 isn't worth it to have someone upset with you when you could be having $15,000 to $20,000 more because they're happy with you, because you gave them a good service and you release them and they're be able to experience a return of investment, and they're more comfortable to give you a referral or send you to a friend. It's very difficult for someone to give a referral when they go, so Jeff, how's that SEO going? God, man, it's $5,000 a month, every month. It never ends. It never ends. What do you mean? Yeah, it's like eternity. I got to keep paying it. You know, they're going to go, well, I don't want to get involved in that. So I've always kind of looked at it and how would I feel, and knowing it's, yeah, man, you know, we're like getting a lot of phone calls and stuff, and it's only 6 months, and, you know, it's costing us $30,000, but we've made X amount of dollars over here. You should do it. Really? I've never looked into that. Well, give me his number. And that's how I'm able to spend so many clients and snowball so many clients and get so many referrals from clients, and why I'm up to $250,000 a month, because I take that and how do I want to be treated, and I try to treat my clients that way. So guys, think twice, long and hard about dragging a client out for an extra few $1,000s versus cutting them loose and working on them from the very beginning to start giving you referrals. That's like my advice. So with this, what I'm going to do is, guys, is we're going to cut the questions right now and we can come back to questions later. But Armando is going to show us something that really kind of excited me when he showed it to me a few months ago, and how he had some of his clients' sites ranking and how he had his SEO automated and how he was doing it. I was very excited. And I was like, wow, you know, I've never seen this before. And since then, I've messed around with it a little bit, but I'm nowhere near as good as he is at it. And he's going to show us exactly what he's doing right now to automate search engine optimization and making things easier. Because as you get more clients, you want to make your life easier. And this is going to blow your mind once he shows you exactly what he's doing. So, Armando, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pass over the screen to you. Let me find you and give it over to you. You should have access to the screen.
All right, I think I got it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is move on to this thing. We're going to jump right into it already, and we'll take it from there. So I've been using this tool for a few months now, and it's nothing new. I've used it before in the past for things like productivity and in my business. I use it to send alerts to my VAs. I used it before to send me a text message when I didn't go to the gym. It's synced up to my tracking device on my wrist, and when I didn't go to the gym and log that in, I got a text message alert basically saying, get off your butt, go to the gym. I've used it for client upsells, and then lately what I've been doing a lot is the SEO social stuff with it. So I'm going to go through this real fast, and then we're going to jump into the demo of how this works and how I'm using it here and the possibilities of these tools. And along the way, stop me if you have questions. So when you look at videos and any sort of property on the web, any real legit business website has these social properties. They have the Facebook, the Twitters, the bloggers, the Reddits, the Tumblrs, and the list goes on. So probably hundreds of them right now. Anything that you go even if they're not Google properties, the Vimeos have them, legit websites have them, big companies have them, your clients have them, and everyone has them. They're even starting to show up in the Google box here on the right hand side when you do a search for a brand. So they're starting to recognize these and have these pop up. So what I've been doing for a very long time is using IFTTT. But I think I've been using a little bit different than what everyone else is doing. Like I said, I've used it for personal management, but this time it's just to build links back to my sites. The general idea is that you have a website, and this website could be your client's website. I use it on my client's website. I use it on my lead generating sites. I use it on my other WebPoint 2 properties. And what you do then is you build out these profiles all together, and this is just an example. I think 18 is what I'm including in here, but IFTTT actually integrates with 160 different profiles. I'm using 25 right now out of the 160. There's a ton of ways that you can use this. So when you build these out right here, you fill these out just like you would legit profiles, and then there's usually an area where you can add a naked URL back to your site. For example, my Facebook page in the About section, there's a naked URL back to my site. So there's Twitter, LinkedIn, Blogger, Tumblr. A lot of these will allow you to give that back. So what that gives me is 16 or 20 or however many naked URLs I've got back on my sites. And then you have Google+. So the way this works is that now once these are interlinked, I then go and create an IFTTT account and activate these properties. And I use my site or whatever property I use as my trigger site, basically as a hub. Anytime that I post content here, it automatically goes and shares this across all these different networks. And then these different networks then give me a link back to my site. So for any given post, I automatically get 16 or 17 links back to my site using my brand or my URL. And let's go into
let me just stop you real
what that looks like.
Let me just stop you real quick, guys. If you're kind of excited with what he's showing you right now, give me a 1 in the chat box. Let me see some 1s. Because what Armando is showing us right here, right now, is how to automate with one post and how to share it to multiple networks automated. This is pretty cool stuff here. You can see all the 1s, Armando. It's great. It's great stuff here. So please keep going. Everyone's excited about it. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's cool. So basically what we're doing here is we're using the power of IFTTT to do this function, but automatically. So normally you'd find a video that you like, you'd find a piece of content that you like on your favorite website or whatnot, and then you go and you click share. You'd share that and you'd actually get that posted somewhere else. You write a little blurb about it and then, that links back here. But what we're doing with IFTTT is actually creating your own syndication network and basically creating content, having this content automatically posted here and then having these properties linked back to you. And I'll show you different scenarios of how I'm using this right now, and really the sky's the limit. The imagination is the limit here. You guys use it however you want. I'm going to show you what I've done for my clients. So now, in regards to workflow, what I'm starting to do now, what I've been doing for a few months, every time I pick out a new client or every time I go into a new lead gen site, I automatically start with this process first. So after I do my initial on-page, my initial keyword research, I have a VA that actually built some of these out, and they build these branded for my clients, specifically for them. If my client already has a YouTube and a blogger and a Facebook and a Twitter, then I just skip those and build the others out. So here's what happens. Whenever you create an IFTTT recipe and you connect these together, you get a choice to add a little piece of code to each one of these properties in the recipe. It's called an attribution link. This is actually how these properties are going to link back to you. So in scenario number 1, I've used a lot of branded, and I mainly use this to say the link that's going to go back to my site for my content is going back to your site and then your brand or your naked URL in this case. There are some properties that do not integrate with IFTTT, and that's why I use a service like Buffer. So so my site will then post to Buffer, and then Buffer will then syndicate to Google+, and then Google+ will give me a link back. Is that making sense to everybody?
Guys, if this is making sense to you, just type in 1. If not, we can have them go into some more details. Everyone's kind of understanding, getting a lot of ones. Everyone's excited about it, understanding. We have one question. Can you repeat the buffer? They don't understand what the buffer is.
Yeah, so there's certain recipes, there's certain sites that IFTTT can integrate with, 160 of them, but Google Plus is not one of them. However, Buffer is a social media management tool that allows you to auto post to Facebook, to Twitter, and to Google Plus, sort of like what Hootsuite does. And Buffer does integrate with IFTTT. So then what I do instead is I connect my Buffer account to IFTTT. I tell my site to post this on Buffer, and then Buffer schedules out a post to Google Plus, giving me an attribution link back to my site.
I like
the other way that
it
I've used it and experimented with this. Huh?
No. I'd like to say that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So the other way I've used this is to actually use it to build out LSI and branded keywords. So in this example that I've used only brand keywords, and here I'm using related keywords as well. So like I mentioned before, this attribution link can be changed. So for certain properties, as I'm setting these up, I make sure that the brand is there, or a LSI keyword, or a naked URL, etc. And so I get a mix of keywords actually coming back to my site from my own, social sharing, legit sites. And scenario number
we have a couple questions. It says, are you posting on your site, then using the RSS feed with IFTTT recipes to syndicate to those properties?
Yes, and I will show you what that looks like on my site. We'll put up a test post so you can see that in action.
One more question, I'll let you continue. It says, are you saying all links must go to the homepage because it seems you cannot use keyword links? Is this right?
You do not have to send all the links to the homepage. You can actually send them wherever you want based on this attribution link, and I've tried that before. So they go into inner pages and into blog posts with whatever I want. I mainly use brand and naked URL, but you can use LSI and you can use generic type terms.
I'm sorry to have to do this to you, but we've had 2 people ask this. They want to know what a naked URL is and what LSI means.
Sure. A naked URL is when you use the actual URL of your site. For example, my site is, sciencedigital.com. So in this case, my anchor would be http, / sciencedigital.com, as opposed to just a keyword. And an LSI keyword is a related keyword. So let's say that I was doing search and SEO, then search engine optimization, online marketing. Those would be related keywords.
Great. And how much does this cost to do?
You can actually outsource the whole thing. What I do is I go to Fiverr and I get these accounts built for about $15 for an entire syndication wheel up to 25 accounts.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But let's just say that you didn't have $15 and you had nothing but time. Could you do this yourself for free?
Oh yeah, you could do these yourself for free. The way this works is, you can see here's my Twitter account. This is my legit Twitter account. Here's my Google Plus account. Here's my Tumblr account. Here's my WordPress account. Here's my my LiveJournal account. Here's my Delicious, Digo, and my IFTTT account. So you basically want to set these up based on your brand or your persona. Like they're real sites, because they technically are. Every legit company has these sites that they share on.
Why is this important?
It's important because these are high DA properties. These are social signals that are going back to your sites, and these sites right here can be used to also interlink within each other, passing all their domain authority and trust down to your site or to your client site.
Exactly. All right, I'll let you continue.
Okay. So in scenario number 3, what I've done is I've tested diversifying my anchor text, where, for example, I have a site that's really heavy on a specific keyword, and I want generic text coming back from these sites. So every single post that I have has an attribution going back to the site saying, hey, this post was originally posted via this website, and it's got website, click here, etc. And I've also used this on my PBN. So let's say this is my PBN site. Whenever I post an article on my PBN, that article then gets shared across all these social sites, and it gets syndicated, and then I get a link back to that PBN post and that PBN from all these social sites, pretty much on autopilot.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So how hard is it to set up a recipe? Like if you wanted to do it yourself, are we going to be able to go through that, or do you have some more?
Yeah, we're going to go through all that.
Good.
Yeah, we're going to go through all that. I'm trying to just kind of fly through here, because what I want you guys to get an idea of with all these different scenarios here is that there's so many ways that you can use this. There's not just one method. You can use this however you want. Say maybe you don't want to have all these accounts tied together, but you want like the top 5 or something. You can just have the top 5, and that's totally cool. That's totally all right.
Guys, if you're excited about this, do me a favor. I want you to go to the Facebook thread. I want you to put "Thanks Armando" and in it. I've already put it up there for you to put it up to the top so he can explain how we're going to build recipes. We're going to get through all this, but not only that, Armando is going to be generous enough. We're also going to do a module on this in the next couple of days that we're going to have in Director's Cut. So if you don't get it right now, try to get as much as you can right now. And then we're going to have a module going into it in greater detail. And we're having some questions here. And while we're waiting on people to thank Armando for this, in the Facebook group, let's just field a few questions before we move forward. And it says, wow, so Network Empire is similar to Training and Director's Cut. We've asked people, is this similar to Social Explosion? Nothing is like Social Explosion. Social Explosion is Social Explosion, and it's in its own way. We're just showing you different methods and different ways to get links back to your site. This is by no means meant to replace anything. We're just here to show you different ways to do this. It says, can you syndicate to YouTube via RSS? Are you able to do that, Armando?
You can syndicate to YouTube, I think, via their YouTube email that they give you. You have a secret email inside of YouTube, and you can auto post to YouTube via that email. And I think that's a way to do it. I haven't really tried it that way, but you can certainly do it from a mobile phone via an email. So I would assume you could also do it this way.
Great.
I have to try that. I haven't actually tried that.
Come on, guys. We need a few more of these. We need Armando to feel good. I only think we got about 20 people that's thanked him so far. When we get up to about 45, we'll continue on with the training, and he's got a lot more to show us. This is some pretty exciting stuff. I know that when I seen it, guys, I don't want you to think that this is meant to replace anything. This is just a different way to skin a cat. Social Explosion is some great stuff all by itself. And this is a form of domain authority stacking. You can connect all these sites together. Isn't that true, Armando?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Right.
It's a form of that. Sending everything, and when you're building these out, when you're sending the link back to your main site as you're building these sites, there's nothing that says that you have to initially add a naked URL to your home page. Add them to inner pages by all means, and just spread that love around your site.
Sure. Go ahead and continue with your training. We've got people that have thanked you on Facebook. Man, this is just mind-blowing stuff right here. So please keep going.
Cool. So the other way you can do it is you can set different trigger sites. You don't have to just necessarily have either your client site or your money site as a trigger site. You can have a Tumblr, for example, be your trigger site. You can have a Blogger be your trigger site, or a Twitter be your trigger site, or a YouTube be your trigger site. So in this example, every time you post to YouTube, it's going to syndicate out to all these sites, and then these sites are going to give links back to your YouTube video. But also, if you're going to build a network around YouTube, as you're building these sites right here, make sure that you put that URL, like if you would to your website, pointing back to this, so you instantly tie everything together. You can also get really crazy, really advanced with this stuff. You can have multiple networks, multiple connections to each one of them, actually sending links to each other. So in this example here, let's say that I have Science Digital, which is my site, and my site is tied in to all these accounts, and I have, legit properties here, and I deck them out, I fill out the profiles, I put the images on there, all that stuff. And that's important to build these sites out. It's important because that way they don't get shut down. I've used some automated tools before to build them, and they always seem to get shut down for some reason, but when you build them out the right way, they don't get shut down. So now let's say that I have another one here, and this one actually is pointing to my YouTube channel. And then I have my RSS feed pointing here. So now Now, what happens every time that I post a piece of content here, it's going to get shared here, and I'm going to get a link back, but it's also going to trigger this to actually go here and post on here and then share it on a separate network. So it's like getting 16 links back to my YouTube channel and then 16 back to my site.
God, this is insane, man. I mean, this is just so powerful. I mean, literally with one post, all of this chain reacts and creates all of this for you, right?
Right.
Jesus. It's
So
amazing.
the possibilities are crazy. You can get a little out of the box. You can have one of these. You can have as many of these. You can have these tiered. So let's say I move this arrow around and I had, my Tumblr become the hub right here. Anytime I post it to my Tumblr, now my Tumblr would be right here at the center, and my Tumblr will have its own ring around it, sharing just the stuff that came from this Tumblr, sending links back to your social accounts all the way down to your site.
This is just mind-blowing stuff. So, and all of these guys, what I want you to understand is with one particular post, it's going to trigger, and you're like getting up to, you like said they handle up to 162 different sites, correct?
Yeah,
So
not all of them are gonna be able to be used in this, but a lot of them are, and there's a Gmail RSS feed in there that you can actually send via email, and that's really important for the properties that don't integrate with this model.
But how amazing is this that you can post one time and probably end up with 50 different high domain authority links coming back to your money site, all with trust, all with high DA. And not only that, but if you interlink all these together, the insanity that this thing's going to create. This is how you've been able to rank a lot of your clients, isn't it?
Yeah. I start with this method first. I build their brand around this. I've used this for upsells. If I have a client that I know has, their Facebook, their Google Plus page, their Twitter, the main four or something, and I know that they're not really maintaining it, I'll offer to maintain this for another $250, or I'll offer to maintain it in my starting package, and I'll just go ahead and build this and tie it to IFTTT and let their blog do the work for me.
Well, we just had a question for you, and someone wants to know, and I'm just going to let you answer because I think it's humorous. Can this be used on affiliate sites? Can this be used to rank anything?
It can be used on anything that has either an RSS feed or anything that can trigger an action. So yeah, you can use it wherever you want. I primarily do client SEO, but you can use it on affiliate sites.
One other question before we get moving on. It says, Armando, do you create a different IFTTT system for each client or each niche, or how?
For my clients, I create a different IFTTT, stack or properties for each client. Because if you look at what a real site does, what a legal business does, Nike has their own set of properties, and they don't share with Reebok. Reebok is a separate brand. So when I'm dealing with clients, they're their own brand. They get their own social accounts, and that's the way that goes. Now, I tie different links together when I'm dealing with my lead generation sites because I don't really care as much about those as I would a client site.
It's pretty crazy stuff. Guys, type in the, if your mind is blown, give me a number 3. If this is just mind blowing you right now, how you can put one link and have as many as 60 links done at once. And all you have to do is set this stuff up and it's automated like that. It's just amazing stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that we wanted to bring you in Director's Cut, the kind of stuff that we want to help you get the edge over everyone and why OMG is so powerful. This is a type of stuff that, between Derek and Armando and some of the guys I've been hanging out with the last 6 months, you kind of say, hey, how do you rank so good? I've got friends like Armando and Derek that are just doing crazy stuff along with I'm doing some crazy stuff. And when you start trading this stuff around, you guys are getting in the inside circle of some of the top people. Derek is literally one of the best SEOs in the world. I would put him in the top 5 easily that I know. And in Armando with client getting with what he's got right here is just mind blowing. And this stuff right here, literally just imagine if you can start a site, set this up. God, man, it's just the possibilities are endless, man. Please continue.
Sure. So I want you to think about something before I go to the demo. There's a way to get these properties. If you've got nothing but time and you're low on funds, you can certainly build these properties out yourself. right? Make sure you do them right. Make sure you go out and you build them out with your profile picture. You put your description in there. You treat these like they were your own personal blog network because, well, they are. And if you keep taking care of these properties and you keep putting, good content on here, this is sort of a demo that I did for this. But if you keep putting content on this, then the possibilities are endless. You can have as many as you want. Here's my attribution link that I was telling you about. So this property is linking back to my main site, but it's also giving me a link back to my site's blog, and I'll show you what kind of craziness that happens. So here's what I was talking about, mixing things up. Like this one says my brand, and this one's got a URL right there. All right, so you can outsource them. Like I said, you have to find an outsourcer that builds these. It's a little bit harder to do that. But I found this Fiverr gig, and this is what I've been using, to be honest with you. Let me show you what that looks like here. Open up another window there. And so these guys from Fiverr, they'll go ahead and they'll build the entire stack for you. And they will actually connect all 25 channels, build them out, activate them, and even activate the common recipes to build like this tiered network type.
Wow.
For $5. I don't normally get this because it's
Oh, it's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
I get the $15 package because look what they do for you. They build them out completely. They include the cover photo, they include the bio, the address, the website URL, everything that you want on these properties they include. And well, why not?
Right. It's just amazing. I mean, you can even order this up on Fiverr. Let's like to field a few more questions before we go forward. Christine Jones wants to know, can you explain or show Evernote and Dropbox? She doesn't know how you can get a link back from those.
Sure. Let me finish this up and then we'll go through it.
Sure.
So don't spam these sites. All right, treat them with respect, and you're not going to get shut down. If you start spamming them with stuff, craziness on them, they'll probably get shut down. I mean, like anything else, you run the risk of getting things shut down. They're evergreen because you can use one site that's themed for different type of sites. And like I said, you can upsell this sort of stuff pretty easily. You can set them up and have the stuff do autopilot things. So let me go in here and I'll show you what Evernote does for you and what Dropbox does for you. So whenever you go to Evernote, evernote.com, and I'm going to go ahead and sign in here. All right. It allows you to create different notebooks, right? We'll skip this for now. Allows you to create different notebooks, but one of the notebooks that allows you to create is a public notebook that anybody can get to. So IFTTT takes your content and actually creates a note on a public notebook. And what you'll notice in here is that you have your blog post and you have your images or whatever it is that you want added in here, but you also have a link going to your blog and your attribution links going there. So whenever you click on this public notebook that's here, this one, anybody can get to this link without you having to be logged into Evernote. And if you look at the DA of Evernote, it's like a DA.
It's sick, yeah.
It's crazy, right? So you can actually build links back to this Evernote public folder and juice up all these posts and pass juice down to these properties. Mm-hmm. And the same thing happens with Dropbox. So you can do the same thing with Dropbox.
Yeah, this is just great. Guys, please, man, I want you to show your appreciation for Mondo before he goes. Go back on the Facebook group, and I want you to type in #mindblown, man, because when I first found this out and I started looking at the powers and the possibilities of this, God, even Mike Hayden even said, who I totally respect, he's just such an amazing SEO. He says, is ranking this easy even legal? I don't think so. I mean, it shouldn't be. But man, when you have this built for Fiverr for $5 and you can have all of these links. I mean, last week, Derek was kind enough to show us how to get a Google link coming back to you. Now we're showing you how you can get 50, 60, 100, 200 links coming back with one post. Imagine if you had a client and now your questions are almost answered right now. And how is Armando and how am I and how are other people able to handle so many clients? It's simple. If you do one post a day, or maybe one post a week, one post every 2 weeks, and you get 150 links coming back for you, it's almost like you've got your own VA, isn't it, Armando?
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Yeah, and I actually use this tool to sort of manage my VAs too. I have a separate FTTT account, but I'll show you what I do here. So like, I'll go in here for my VAs, and I'll say I want to create a recipe for these guys, right? And this is like a query, right? If this happens, or if this takes action, I want there to be a reaction. That's what all this is, right? For every action, there's a reaction. So I want the action to be, I want to, let's say, send an email to my VA. So then I go in here and I pick up my trigger post or whatnot, and then let's just say that I want that. So I want IFTTT to send an email, right? And I say go ahead and send that email, and then I want that email to go to something else, like a Gmail account or something. Send an email to my VA. So then I say, hey, VA@gmail.com. Today is PBN Wednesday. All right. Do not forget to log in to my PBN manager and update all my blogs. Send. So now this is scheduled, and when I hit this, every time I choose a specific date, like if I choose I wanted this to send on Fridays or something like that, then every time this action takes place, every Friday they're going to get an automatic email reminder telling them what to do and how to do it.
That's just crazy stuff, man. Possibilities are endless with this, just endless.
Right. Mm-hmm. So let me go back to my site here. All right, let me show you how this works. So we're going to go to a post. And let's just say that this is either your money site or your client site or whatnot, right? First let's start from the beginning. So you build out all these properties. Let's say you have a list of all your accounts created, right? You log into IFTTT, you go to channels, and then you go through this process of activating the channels that you already have. So if I click on Blogger, then this will say activate instead of edit. I click activate, and it will ask me for my Blogger credentials. I then will log in, and my channel will be activated. And then I go and do the same thing for all these other channels. But the guy on Fiverr, he actually does this for you. He goes and he activates everything for you and sets up recipes.
Wow, that's crazy. Derek, I got a question for you. You're the expert on this. I always come to you with sort of stuff like this. The question is there any worries about duplicate content going across all these properties?
No, because you're always attributing the source. And so as long as you have that link back to the original piece, you're fine.
Good. So
you never have to worry about that. So.
Right. So there's like no worries about that. If you guys are worried about duplicate content, you don't have to.
Yeah.
So.
You see it everywhere in the internet as every day. You just have people posting different RSS feeds and curating someone else's content, and then just as long as you post back to the original source, you're fine.
Cool. Armando, they have a question before you continue. It says a OneNote question. It says, Armando, do you send links back to your money site or just to other social sites?
I do both. So in this case right here, I'm going to be sending links back to my money site or my main site. And then if I decided that I wanted my trigger site to be to get links back, then I would set up a recipe for that. And so what the tier looks like is, for example, let's take a look at my recipes, right? If you can see that I'm using the RSS feed heavily. So this is coming from my money site, and so I'm using RSS to WordPress, RSS to these, whatever. Now, if I wanted links to go back to my Evernote, then what I would do is I would set up an Evernote recipe that would look like this. I would go in here and I would say create a recipe. Or let's use Tumblr. I wanted to send links back to my Tumblr, so I would say Tumblr right there. Anytime a new post gets added to Tumblr, then I want that same post or whatnot to be added to Blogger, right? I wanted to create a blogger post or create a blogger photo attributing, that post back to Tumblr, which then Tumblr attributes it back to my site.
Here's a Derek question. Do the links lose some of their effectiveness as they're coming from the same properties over and over?
You're going to lose a little bit because obviously the more IP diversification you get, the better. But most of this is you're trying to build that first network as your branded network, right? So it's typical that you're going to get this kind of activity on your branded network. So it's not unhealthy or anything. You're not going to get penalized for because it kind of looks like a link network almost, but it's not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and
Right, yeah.
as Armando said also, you're like building out like a different, what did you call it again, a pod or a stack, or you're like building it out for each individual client. So you're not using the same account over and over and over again to like curate everyone. They're all unique accounts for each particular client, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. For my clients, I do that. And I do that for some of my bigger lead gen sites as well.
Great. Please continue. Everyone's enjoying it.
So now let's say you have all this stuff tied together. You have all your recipes in place. So anytime I get a new blog post from my site, it's going to go to WordPress, to Twitter, to my company Tumblr, my Digo account, my Delicious. It's also going to go to my Facebook page. It's going to go to my Buffer app, and then Buffer app will share it on Google Plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now all I'm going to do is come in here. I'm going to create a new post. Let's just say that, we'll call it, whatever. I might delete this later, so don't hold me to it. Then your content goes here, right? You add your video if you had a video that actually goes in there. So let's go find a video. Let's go to my YouTube channel. Well, why not, right? Let's find just a video that's on my channel. Something to test with. Let's do this guy right here. I like this guy. So let's just take the embed code there. We're going to go in here. You're going to add your content. I want my content to also have video, so I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to continue with my stuff. I maybe add an image or whatever the case may be in there. And then I'll just go ahead and, give it a category or something in there, and I'll go ahead and publish. I mean, you can even optimize this as much as you want. You can put your titles and text descriptions and all that, and then you just hit publish. And what that does is IFTTT is going to go check itself every 15 minutes, and so it's going to go ahead and check to see if there's a new post or if there's something new posted on your blog from this RSS feed, and then if it finds that, it's going to go ahead and syndicate it across this network. So you can also trigger it automatically, but the idea is to let it automatically do its own thing. So we don't want to wait 15 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and check that recipe, and then it'll go check my feed there, and if it finds something that then my recipe's checked, and it'll go automatically post that on my stuff. So it may take a little while, but let's see if it posts there. And it may take a little while for this to pop up, but it'll start posting on all these exactly how you have it there with your title and everything.
Guys, if you have any questions while he's going over this, type them in the chat box right now so they kind of accumulate up to when he takes a break, we can kind of ask it to him. But, if there's anything on your mind right now, just put it in there. We have another question right here is, if the trigger post is deleted, how does IFTTT handle that?
It doesn't go back and check anything. So let's say you add a blog post and you go in and you delete these recipes, then it won't go back in and recheck that. Oh, you mean the post that's on my site?
Right.
Nothing. It'll still stay on your. It doesn't go and remove that post from your social sites.
In other words, once it gets distributed out, it sticks. And even if you delete that from your site right here, it'll still stick on all the social sites that it kind of curated out to, correct?
Right. But the thing that's take note of, though, is that if you edit this post, like if I go back in here and edit and change some content, it's almost like adding a new post, and then it'll go back and post it again. And I've noticed that, but I don't go back and edit post very often.
Great. You or Derek need to answer this. So is this for blog posts or to actually rank them, or do DAS, or both?
You want me to answer? Or?
Sure, go ahead. We want to make sure you're awake over there.
Yeah. No, I just have to unmute myself. You're building links. I personally do it for posts. So every time you do a post, you're going to get some backlinks to that post and then just power it up. So it's going to have that domain authority stacking effect as well. But the only thing I do differently is I always make sure I use snippets instead of the full article usually when I distribute. So that entices people to come actually click through to my website, and it's not just serving as a backlink.
Right. I've never heard of this. Here's a question for either one of you two also is, have you ever heard or used of IFTTT backlink commando?
I haven't. But
I haven't either.
I have. I've used it. When it first came out, I tried I bought it, and it went out and it builds like the standard ones, the Tumblrs. I think it does. It doesn't do any Google properties or YouTube, but it does WordPress. It does DIGO. It does Delicious. What I found is that my accounts were shut down after a while, and I think it's because it gives you a generic email. Like a long Hotmail account, and then the accounts are not actually built out. It's just a shell. And so when you have just a shell and then you immediately trigger IFTTT to start posting things like this, it's very unlikely that's going to stick, I find, as opposed to an account like this where it's from a brand, it's a legit person here, that they're tying everything together and they're taking the time to actually fill all the details out. But I still have some networks that were built with Commando that I had my VA go back in there and sort of deck out, and those have stuck.
The next question is, do you make the post on your client's existing website, or can it come from another site?
I normally make it on my client site because that's the site that wants the attribution link back.
So the site that posts it has to get that attribution link back. It can't be. We had a similar question. So in other words, you just can't use a generic site and create a attribution link for another site on it. It has to be the site that it came from, is what you're saying.
Right. I've never used that because I was always afraid to get my clients in trouble. But right. With that being said, though, if you use another site as the attribution site, let's say you're doing reputation management and you're trying to rank this guy's like Tumblr, then you can easily do that this way.
Right. We have someone that wants to know if you've ever tried this outside of WordPress.
Yes, it works as long as there's a feed. So if you have an HTML site that has a feed, you can do that. There's also a tool out there that will generate feeds for pretty much any website out there. And if you can generate a feed, then you can use IFTTT to do the exact same thing.
Great. One more question. Can you use this to rank your homepage on a new site? Absolutely. Absolutely. So please continue.
Yeah. And so when you get into a little bit more advanced settings in this, you get into sort of tiering all these together and making sure that like you can have multiple channels for each. So I would have like a Facebook, and then I would have a blogger, and then this blogger would then have like networks of their own, and then this would have networks of their own, etc. So bringing even more links back to this. But I use this a lot. It gives you a pretty crazy anchor text profile because you're actually getting, if you look at what this does here, see that already syndicated here. I'm getting this title. If you look at the lower right-hand corner of the screen, right in this area, it's going back to that blog post. So that blog post is getting a link back with that long tail title, and then I'm getting my attribution link back. So what I've noticed when I started doing this is, as I'm looking for these long tail titles, I started doing searches for these. Then my sites were starting to come up. At first, I didn't know where that traffic was coming from, but then I noticed that that was starting to come up. And I don't know that this is going to come up right now because it's been too soon. But I was getting traffic for all these long tail searches that people were doing coming to my site for everything. And then also my posts were showing up as well with that.
Yeah, man, this is some pretty powerful stuff here.
That, but
yeah, this is pretty powerful stuff. Obviously, Social Explosion works great. This is another way to like send back a lot of social profiles to your website that are very high DA, very high trust flow. I know that that's like kind of the backbone of how my sites are ranking so well everywhere. I've never used IFTTT to the extent that you have. I was just kind of overwhelmed by it, and what I was doing was working. But if I was to start out a year ago, and if you wanted to ask me, what would I want to learn a year ago versus what I know right now to help me get clients ranked, to make my life easier, to supplement my PBNs and everything, that's not going to cost me hardly any money whatsoever, it would be this. I mean, when you're looking at how easy it is to get this set up, and we've asked other people, can you show the Fiverr gig one more time so they can get a look at it? And we're also going to put that in the module also. We're going to do a lot more detailed module on this. We're just kind of rushing over this right now. But if you could show that to them and the person that it is and kind of talk about it a little bit so they can find it.
Yeah, it's this guy here. What's his name here? Template Titans. And there's actually, if you just do a search for IFTTT,
you can actually just drop that into the box there too.
Yeah. Let me do that there. I can't actually see that.
In the chat box there, and just post to the entire audience.
Yeah, you can just grab that link and then you can put it in the chat box and then send it to all. We're also going to have it in the video also. But we have another question. It says, can this be sent to your money site directly? Yes, yeah, absolutely. These are 100% safe links coming back to your money site. And the other question we had is what exactly do you get for like someone that's brand new? Let's just pretend that you're talking to someone that's just dealt with PBNs before and that's never dealt with IFTTT before. What exactly do you get with this gig and what do they do for you?
Oh, well, what you get with this gig is an entire, all your networks connected. You get all your accounts built out for you. So you're going to get your Tumblr built out with your picture, with your description, with your bio. You're going to get a link back to your website right there. And you're going to get all 25 of those channels linked back to this. And you're also going to get these guys to actually create like their most common recipes, and they're from the gate. And then you can also create different recipes as you go along. Like one of these guys here, if you just do the FTT search, you're starting to see them pop up. And so there's a bunch of guys that I've always used as well. I use different types of people, but let's see if I can find the gig here. So this one, I've used this one a lot too, SEO Star. And as you can see what they do, they actually build these 30-something properties. I think it's more than that if you buy the full gig, and they set all these things together for you. So you literally get a network ready to go. All you have to do is start posting as soon as you get it.
Guys, what I want you to understand is, we're getting a couple questions, is IFTTT doesn't cost anything to do this. You can go in and create all these recipes yourself, and you can go manually set up these accounts yourself. Would it be a little time consuming? Yes. Or Armando's just showing you how you can cut the time in half for a few bucks by going to Fiverr and by having them do this for you. So does it cost anything to start an account with IFTTT? No. But we're showing you how you can automate this very, very quickly by spending a few dollars. Obviously, for you to sit there and try to create out, how many accounts you get with this, Armando? Is like 15 or 20?
You get 25 with this gig.
Okay, right, 25. How long is it going to take you to go out and create 25 accounts and learn, get it all done, know how to set up the recipes, do everything? $5, you got it all done for you. And it's 100% safe links coming back to your site. high trust, high domain authority. And think about it. If you're starting a new site right now, one of the things that I want you guys to understand about this, even how I start all my new SEO sites, and I've got 5 of them that I launched about 4 months ago, is I don't have one PBN coming into any of them. I have similar things with what's being done with IFTTT, and I'm ranking on page 1 with just similar properties like this and a couple other things that I'm doing. So what I'm trying to say is this is extremely powerful. So I don't want you guys to take this very lightly. If there's one thing, and if you're not involved in other stuff like this is what I would be focusing on right now. This is healthy coming into the site. One of the things that Google's looking at right now is what's natural is to have all of these sites talking about you. And then when you have these links coming in, it also creates a buffer. And it just myself, when I get a new site started, this is what I would do is I would send a buffer out of 60 to 70 of these different social profiles coming in. Then I would put a PBN up to it. Now it looks natural. How in the hell did a PBN come in from nowhere when a site's brand new and you just created it? When now you've got this, it's got all these links that have been built around it, 60 or 70 links. Now it might look natural for a good PBN link to come in there. This looks healthy. This looks natural. This is how I would start a brand new site if I was going to do it, and how I've been doing it, just not in this way. But this is so, so powerful. And what Armando's showing us is just amazing. It's just amazing. Please continue.
I'm gonna show you guys, what this has done for one of my sites that's up, and then and one more thing though. So if you pay the $5, you get the 25 channels with the recipes and everything, but it's not humanized. So that means you have to go in there and deck out your accounts. You have to actually put the pictures in there, fill out your bios and everything. And this guy for $15 will actually give you a humanized account, and he'll create a Gmail account, a YouTube phone verified account, and a Google Plus account. That's kind of crazy. So let me see if this is already.
I just wanted to clear one thing up. We're having people ask, guys, IFTTT does not create accounts. It doesn't do it for you. All it does is it pushes content out. You have to create the accounts. It's a free service, and we're saying, well, how reliable is IFTTT creating social accounts? It doesn't. That's why we're showing you this Fiverr gig, and he's explaining to you what it does. Please continue.
Right. And also, what I found is that as I'm using this on my PBN sites, it gets my post, indexed almost instantly. And it also gives me, so social signals going back to my post, making my post much more, powerful. You can see like it's already starting to syndicate all over the place, giving me links back to that right there. If I go refresh these properties, I bet it'll pop up the stuff, right there. And some of these you have to set up so that the video takes and everything. You saw that one. Mm-hmm. Here's the Tumblr. I'm not sure if Tumblr's gonna. Yeah, there it is right there. Right.
Wow.
So then, this is like if I wanted to rank this video, I would do something similar with the YouTube, and then do the same thing with this one on here, and then I would show up for these type of videos right there. My stuff is here. Yeah, there it is right there. And so I'm gonna share a site with you guys that I've been sort of dabbling around in, because my plan for 2015 is pretty crazy. So I'm going to be breaking into a lot of niches, So
getting in those Spanish niches, huh?
And those Spanish niches are crazy.
Oh, I
so
bet.
This is a Spanish niche site that I have. It's right here. It's car insurance in Spanish, and this is strictly ranking with an IFTTT network. And I actually just sold this on Facebook. I think you saw the post, and I know a few others did on my personal Facebook page, where I had like 4 agents call me about this site as soon as I posted up, and I'm getting $25 an email every time this sends out.
Wow, that's like great.
And
you solely ranked it with IFTTT and
IFTTT, yeah.
and that Fiverr gig.
Yeah, it's got. I take that back. It's got one PBN link that's on the sidebar of or like an image or something like that, something crazy on an old PBN that I had, but it's not even that great. But every time I started posting things to it, here's the blog so you can kind of see that. Every time I started posting things to it, I saw this site bump and bump and bump and bump and bump. And as you can see, there's a lot of posts on here.
Yeah.
So I started, testing different things out, and it eventually made it to that spot, and it's been moving up ever since. You can sort of see like the Twitter account that I built for that. I built a persona around that. A pretty girl I found on the internet. And then these accounts, what's funny is that they're growing in audience without me doing anything either.
That's like great. That's great.
So that's the kind of stuff that I've been doing, for a while now, since we've been talking about something like this. It's been a little while, huh?
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely some mind-blowing stuff right here. Everyone should like do. Anything else you need to go over with, or we pretty much covered everything, or?
I think that's pretty much it. That's the overall concept. Just sort of go out there, build these things out, start getting some of those links, and treat these sites with respect. Don't go put a crappy content on them, or they might get shut down. If you treat them with respect, they'll last for a long time.
Guys, listen, do me a favor, guys. If you really, really, really want Armando and I to sit down and build out a more detailed module that we can put in Director's Cut, please type in hashtag mindblown in there. Again, I want to see the excitement for this. He's taking time out of his day, and he's taking time to do this, and it could take us a couple hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to do, because we're going to get pretty detailed and what we're going to do with this module, with what they're going to do, how to set up recipes yourself, all this sort of stuff. If you've enjoyed his training, let him know, because literally Armando was kind of reluctant to kind of show this to us, and it was kind of his secret weapon, and I like kind of twisted his arm with it, and he's been very, very gracious to come on here, give his free time to us, and show us something that's pretty freaking powerful. And I just wish that I would have known this, 10 months ago when I first started out. Holy crap, the damage that I could have done. I mean, and people go, hey, you've already done enough damage, but no, this is crazy. This can help you with clients, with other stuff. And this is exactly how you would start a site. Derek, don't you use this as well a little bit?
Oh yeah, I use it quite often. I also use I used to use Hootsuite, but I switched over to IFTT because it was free.
Right. And you're looking at something for free, guys. I want you to think about this. When you look at client costs, how expensive is it to just spend $5, get all these accounts set up, and to go out and buy an original piece of content? So we're looking at $10. If you get a client for $10, you've got a syndicated network with 30 links coming back in from all of these sites. And you know what it's going to take you? It's going to take you about 10 minutes. 10 minutes worth of work. And Armando, typically when you have a client, how many times are you posting on this? Just, I mean, if you don't want to reveal that, I totally respect that. But how many times are you generally posting, like over the course of 30 days?
Well, I'm selling them a packet, so they're paying for those blog posts, and then I have a writer, or I go to hire writers and get the better quality writers, to write these. And I'm posting anywhere between 1 to 3 times a week at times, sometimes even less. But they're paying for that. So all I'm doing is sort of making sure that the content is quality, it's original, it's related, and it's being, put on there right.
Good. Well, guys, we will field a few more questions, and look at all, you're like getting a lot of mind blowns in here. I mean, guys, if you could show your appreciation for him on Facebook, so like he could see that as well, I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to try to get that module out as much as we can. Any last questions, type them in the box. We'll hang out for about 15, 20 seconds. But this is some pretty powerful stuff. Derek, also, you had something that you wanted to go over with real quick about a service that you just kind of put together that's like pretty powerful.
Oh, sure. I was actually just going to add to this, though, also. I use it also for my PBNs, too, because I kind of set up a persona for each PBN that's kind of dedicated to one of my sites. And so every time you post a post on your PBN, it's going to get backlinked by all these sites, and that's just going to add extra power to your the post that's going to transfer to your site as well. And it's also going to combat that negative link growth that most PBNs have, and that's going to avoid a lot of de-indexing that a lot of people are having. And and my service now is gotwikipedia.com. If I posted about it in OMG group a little while ago, but if you're trying to get some links from Wikipedia, which is pretty much the most powerful link you can get right now, give me a call or just message me on Facebook, and I'm not going to try and sell it. So,
guys, like, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. If you haven't already friended Derek on Facebook or Armando, do so now. These guys are literally a wealth of knowledge. The knowledge that I've been able to get from these two has been invaluable. They've been two of my closest friends. You know, when I've hit the brick wall with either clients or with SEO, these are the two guys that I kind of been leaning on for months and months. And they're just such brilliant minds. And Derek's got a service right now that if you need a Wikipedia link coming back to it, message him about it. And Derek also does one-on-one consulting for SEO. You know, if you're having a hard time right now and you need to get over a bump, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. There's only two people that's really consulted me with SEO that I've actually, just been mind blown by. Derek's been one of them, and thank God he's my closest friend. I can reach out to him and get him information anytime I want. When I hit a brick wall, he always has an answer. The guy's consistently testing something right. Jimmy Kelly and Stephen Floyd and Greg. These are the four guys that I've always leaned on for SEO. And with client stuff, it's always been Armando. I bounce ideas off of them. If you're not a friend with them, do so. Reach out to them if you got a question. They're very generous guys. Just don't take advantage of their time. But if you need help with one-on-one SEO stuff, Derek is the man to go to. And you got a few slots open, don't you, Derek, for one-on-one consulting?
Yeah, I usually have a couple spots every week. So.
Great. So guys, if you're hitting a brick wall, I do know that Derek is working on a service that he might not even know about, but we're going to ask him to do it, which is in the beginning phases, which is going to be kind of an emergency service to where if you've got a client and you can't get them ranked, that Derek's going to be able to come in there and do some crazy stuff for you. So remember, guys, you're getting some of the best knowledge out there whatsoever. God, man, OMG, such a great place, man. You know, I'm just so happy to get these guys out in the forefront. Let you guys know about Armando and Derek. They're such pillars of the OMG community, and Armando and Derek selflessly help people every week and pay it forward like I've never seen. So please, if you haven't had a chance to both thank them in the Facebook group, do so. Guys, we're going to blow it up again next week with office hours. It's going to be at a different time next week. We're going to do a daytime hour next week. I think we're going to do 2 p.m. Eastern time. And each week, I'm going to try to bring you the latest mind-blowing stuff in SEO, things you've never seen before, so we can keep this train rolling. But outside of that, guys, Armando and I will continue to try to work over the next 4 or 5 days and get a module out and get that into the director's cut. Guys, it's been fantastic. I look forward to seeing you next week. It'll be 2 o'clock next week. We'll have the link up in a few days. Look for that module about IFTTP from Armando and I within the next 4 or 5 days.